The holidays are the perfect time to make our homes sparkle, not just with lights and glitter, but with love and creativity. I love decorating every corner of my home, from the tree to the windows to the table where we gather with our family and friends. Hello everyone, Jennifer Maker here. It's a beautiful day to fill our homes with handmade holiday cheer. Welcome to my Craft With Me marathon. This is your cozy escape for the holiday season. Something you can watch, listen to, or craft along with me as you bake, cook, clean, wrap gifts, decorate your home, whatever it is that you want to do this holiday season. Inside, you'll find some of my favorite Christmas decor projects, the ones that make any space feel warm and full of love, plus a few brand new designs and tutorials that I've never shared on the channel before. I think that you are going to love these projects I've picked out for you, and I can't wait to do this with you. Now, before we dive into our marathon crafting session, I want to personally invite you to something very special. My annual online holiday event, Merry Maker Mingle. This is a joyful celebration of creativity. I look forward to it every year. It's filled with 25 beautiful projects, cozy inspiration, and the most wonderful community of makers. Think of it like a virtual holiday countdown party with creative surprises and special gifts along the way. And this year, we're making it bigger, brighter, and merrier than ever. We're starting it early and we're adding new ways to get into the holiday spirit. And I would love for you to be part of it. You can find all the details and sign up for the gift list at merrymakermingle.com. And yes, it's free to join in the fun. So get comfy, grab your mug of whatever your favorite beverage is, and let's turn your home into a handmade winter wonderland. So let's start simple. These Dollar Tree projects prove you can make your holiday decor beautiful without spending a lot. Sometimes all it takes is a little imagination and a glue gun to turn everyday finds into something magical. So if you've ever thought that your budget limits your creativity, this is your reminder that you are the magic in every project. Dollar Tree has some great deals, but sometimes they need a little help to look good and match our decor, right? Like this tabletop tree. It looked a bit, kind of like Charlie Brown's Christmas when it first came out of the box. The tree looks so much better once we fix it up with extra branches and a major stand upgrade. We'll add lots of complimentary decorations to the tree too. And that's one of the things I love about Dollar Tree. They often have small items in several colors, so you can pick the ones that fit your style. I went with red and gold, as you can see here, but you can play with all the options that they have and match something that suits you. Now, the mini tree skirt is enhanced with some iron-on vinyl, as you can see here, which is a great way to style simple items. I'm sharing a holiday design created to fit this tree skirt perfectly and a snowflake design that's detailed but actually really easy to weed, unlike a lot of other options out there. I'll also show you how to easily personalize the tree skirt for your family celebrations by curving text to match the curve of the skirt perfectly. And don't worry, I will show you all the steps. Now I cut both glitter and normal iron-on vinyl, but you can use whatever type you like. I used my Cricut Maker 3 to cut it, but any cutting machine or even a craft knife can cut it. I'll show you how to apply the decals with the Cricut Easy Press, but you can also just use a household iron. And the usual vinyl tools like a weeder will make it all go really smoothly. And it all comes together with a glue gun. You can even get one at the dollar store along with wire cutters that will come in really handy too. And that's also where I got my secret ingredient for making holiday decor go from drab to darling: spray snow. I'll also show you how to add the perfect amount for a natural look because it does take a gentle touch. But first, I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful wreath using a dollar store wreath form like this one and supplies. Just a few dollars and you can enjoy it for years. I think it turned out great. Now let's go from dollar bin bargains to holiday beauties. Step 1, decorate your DIY Christmas tree and wreath. We're going to use hot glue, spray snow, and glittery items, so put down some butcher paper to protect your work surface. Now let's liven up this little tree. The stand is not very sturdy, so I decided to glue the tree's trunk to this 4-inch wood square instead. Just add some hot glue to the bottom and press it into the middle of the wood. Pressing firmly in place, add more glue around where the trunk meets the wood. Hold it upright while it starts to set, and then just don't jostle it. While the base dries, paint the wooden star for the tree's top. I used a small foam brush and gold paint to dress up the front of a wood star that I found in the craft aisle at Dollar Tree. You will only see one side, but if you'd like, you can paint the back once the front dries. Let's fill in some of the tree's bare spots with garland ties. I bent and wrapped the center of the garland ties around the trunk to hold them in place. Add as many or as little as you'd like. If you have a branch that is too long, use your wire cutters to trim it down. Now heat up your glue gun for the decorations. I glued mini glittery bows, large and small bells, and some red and gold vase filler like they're ornaments. Don't forget to glue the star on top too. You can add some flocking or foam snow spray to blend the garland ties with the branches. I love that the spray is safe to use indoors and comes off of most materials with soap and water. But do remove any jewelry, roll up your sleeves, and cover things with butcher paper if you need to protect them. Shake the can to mix up the snow and spray in light layers from about a foot away. You can spray from above for a snow flurry or layer more on the branches to create thicker drifts. If too much builds up or a glob comes out of the can, brush it off before the snow sets. It's pretty forgiving until it dries in about an hour or two. While the snow sets, turn the can upside down and spray it into scrap paper or a trash can to clear the nozzle for next time. Once the tree is dry, I wrapped red ribbon around the base with hot glue to hold it in place. It's optional, but it does fill in the space between the trunk and the skirt that we're going to add. Now for the wreath. I used a 15-foot strand of green garland with a 14-inch floral wire form. Start by twisting an end of the garland around the smallest circle of wire to secure it. Then wrap the garland from the inside to the outside of the form, moving clockwise around it. Don't worry if you see any of the form through the garland wraps. We can cover it with decorations. When you reach the beginning again, secure the end with another twist around a piece of the form in the back. Heat up that hot glue gun again and start picking decorations. I had a lot of fun picking floral items to add to my wreath. I started by wrapping a beautiful berry garland throughout the wreath. You can secure it to the form like the green garland or use hot glue. If your fingers get too close to the glue, try the finger protectors in my tool list. They're in the craft aisle too. Then use your wire cutters to remove the branches from items like poinsettia flowers, pine cones, holly, berries, and whatever else grabs your attention in the floral section. Place them on the wreath to test out your layout. Once you're happy, use hot glue to attach each piece. And you can add spray snow for a flocked look or leave it as is. A few spritzes will add a dusting, but you can add however much you like. Step 2, make a Christmas tree skirt. I have a pattern for you. To get it, go to jennifermaker.com/444 and look for libraries in the red bar at the top. And then either click Get a Password if you don't yet have one, or click Enter the library. You can find the designs on the page by searching for number 444 and then click it to download the zip file. You can print the PDF to cut the designs by hand, but they're intricate, so working with the SVGs and a Cricut cutting machine will be much easier. I'll show you how to prepare them in Cricut Design Space, so upload the SVG and add it to your canvas. If you're not sure how to do this, go to jennifermaker.com/svgs to learn how to unzip and upload files. Step 3. Customize your Christmas tree skirt designs. Now we'll make a tree skirt template in Cricut Design Space so we can customize everything correctly. Let's measure the real skirt to start. Lay the skirt flat and measure the full diameter. Mine is about 14 inches. Next, measure the diameter from the inner side of each white edge. Mine is about 9¼ inches wide. Finally, measure the opening in the middle. Mine is about 3½ inches wide. Back in Cricut Design Space, this is what my DIY Christmas tree skirt looks like on my canvas. Let's create the template using circles from the Shape menu. Add one from the free section to your canvas. Drag the circle to a blank area, and with the lock icon at the top closed, type your tree skirt's full diameter into the width box. Mine is 14. You may need to click the minus sign in the lower left corner to see the whole circle on your screen, since it's life size. Use the operation menu to change the circle to a guide. Then click the duplicate icon at the top of the Layers panel. Change the measurement to the skirt's middle dimension. Mine is 9¼ inches wide. Duplicate once more and change the width to match the central opening. Mine was 3½ inches. Click and drag your mouse over all 3 circles and then click Align and choose Center. There's your tree skirt. The outer section is the white, the middle is the red, and the smallest circle is the opening. Click the group icon to keep everything together in case you need to move them. Now we can lay out the designs. Select them and click the ungroup icon to separate the snowflake from the words. You can combine them however you like, but here are a few examples. Click and drag the Merry Christmas design over to make sure it lines up with the lower area on your template. It should fit perfectly if you're using the same skirt, but if not, you might need to click and drag the bounding box's corner to resize the text. Now for the snowflake. Drag it over to the same curved area near the phrase. Use a corner of the bounding box to resize it to fit. Leave some space around the snowflake so it will be easier to place on the white fabric. You never see just one snowflake, so click the duplicate icon until you have the amount you'd like. I think 12 will fit. Let's see. You can move them around the outer area to get an idea. And I think that looks good. I want to keep those together, so hold down the Shift key on your keyboard, click all of the snowflake layers in the panel, and then click Group. I'm actually going to replace the Merry Christmas design, so let's delete that to make space. Click on the text icon on the left of the canvas. Then click the drop-down font menu to select your font. Then click on System and search for whatever font you want. I'm going to search for Christmas Jelly Shake, which you can purchase from my affiliate link at jennifermaker.com/jellyshake. But you can use any font you'd like, of course. Click to select the font. Type your personalization in the text box. I'm going to make mine say the Maker Family. You could use your own family name or whatever you want to say here. Get fun and be creative. I left the font size at 72, but you may need to adjust yours. Click and drag it to the lower area of the tree skirt template. To make it match the skirt's arc, click the curve icon and then drag the slider to the left to create an upward curve. Mine fit nicely at -9.25, but yours may be different, of course. And if it doesn't look right, just click Advanced and then Ungroup to Letters to manually move the letters around your tree skirt. Once you're happy with the look, press and hold the Shift key to select all of the letters in the Layers panel, and then click Attach so they'll cut together. If you want to use different colors for the designs, select them and use the color box to pick your preferences. I'm going to change the maker color to red and the snowflakes to gray so I can cut them on silver. Since we use the guide operation to make the template, you can just leave it and the machine won't even try to cut it. Step 4, cut and apply designs to your Christmas tree skirt. Make sure your correct machine is selected and click Make It. I'm going to use both Smart Iron-On Vinyl and Everyday Vinyl, so in the pop-up I'll select Multiple Ways and then click Confirm. On the Prepare screen, I'll leave the gray layer as Without Matte, but we'll change the red layer to On Matte. Since you'll be cutting the snowflakes apart, it might help to drag them away from each other. These are both iron-on vinyl designs, so click the toggle under Mirror to cut them in reverse. Yes, even the symmetrical snowflakes. It's a good practice just to mirror anything you're going to iron on vinyl. That way they'll look right after we iron them onto our fabric. Select the first mat and click Continue. On the Make screen, set the materials for your mats. I'm going to use Smart Iron-On Glitter for the gray mat and Everyday Iron-On for the red mat. I recommend changing the pressure to more to get cleaner cuts too. Make sure your fine point blade is clean and in the correct clamp. And cut your glitter iron-on vinyl to the appropriate size and either place it shiny side down on a green standard grip machine mat or load it directly into the machine if you're using Smart Iron-On. Press the flashing arrows to load it into your machine. The Cricut will measure the material to make sure there is enough, and when the middle button begins flashing, press it to begin your cut. When the cut is done, press the arrows again to unload the vinyl. If you're using a mat, flip the mat over and peel it back to release your vinyl. Place the next piece of vinyl on the mat and load it into the machine by pressing the flashing arrows again. And just like before, press that flashing middle button to start the cut and then unload it when it's done. Trim the excess material from your decals and use a weeding tool to weed anything that you don't want out. Remember to get the parts inside the letters too. Cut the snowflakes apart so you can place them independently. Now it's time to transfer the vinyl to the tree skirt. My tree skirt is a cotton poly blend, so the Cricut heat guide says I should set my Cricut Easy Press to 330 degrees Fahrenheit and 30 seconds to work with Smart Glitter Iron-On, which I'll add first. If you're using a different press, consult your manual or check the Cricut heat press guide for the correct settings over at jennifermaker.com/easypress. If you're using a household iron for your iron-on vinyl, set it to the linen or cotton setting. Place the skirt face up on your pressing mat. The texture of the material isn't typical for iron-on vinyl, so I put white butcher paper on top to protect it while preheating for 5 seconds. I don't usually do this, but I figured better safe than sorry since it's such fluffy stuff. Place the snowflake designs around the tree skirt with the liners up. Leave space for the words if you're adding them. Cover the skirt with butcher paper again. Press the designs for 30 seconds with firm pressure. Then flip the tree skirt over, replace the butcher paper, and press for 15 more seconds. Flip the skirt back over and gently peel away the vinyl liners when they're cool to the touch. Go slow and steady. Now lower the Easy Press temperature to 315 degrees Fahrenheit and use the same steps and times to press the custom decal in Everyday Iron-On. That's 30 seconds with firm pressure on the front, 15 from the back, and then wait until the liners are cool to remove them. And your beautiful mini Christmas tree skirt is complete. Wrap it around the tree base and it's all ready for the holidays. Now our trees look like they came this way from a fancy store, and all it took was a little time, creativity, and craft supplies. And with all of the options available at the Dollar Tree and other stores that have low-cost items like this, you can create custom decor to fit your own style. Just pick a theme and hit the aisles with your budget in mind. I can't wait to see what you make, because I know you're going to make some awesome things. Next, let's add some sparkle to your windows. These sun catchers catch the winter light and make your space feel so cheerful. I love crafts like this because they brighten even the grayest days. Proof that a pop of color and creativity can completely change the mood of a room. Today, I will test 4 different kinds of vinyl on this pretty rainbow window cling material. We're going to use Cricut Value Vinyl, HTV Ront vinyl, Oracle vinyl, and Dollar Tree vinyl. I'll compare key qualities like how well they cut, how easy they are to weed, how smoothly they transfer, and how well they stick to our window cling. Which brands do you think will work best? So let's find out together. At first impression, you can tell all four of these vinyls are different. Overall, the Cricut Value Permanent Vinyl, the HTV Ront, and the Oracle are all sturdy and feel like quality vinyl. The Oracle is slightly thicker and stiffer, but still flexible. However, the Dollar Tree vinyl feels very thin and flimsy. It is definitely not the same quality as the other three. On the top side, the Cricut and HTV Ront vinyls both have a slightly reflective matte finish, while the Oracle is a thick, shiny vinyl, similar to Cricut Premium vinyl. The Dollar Tree vinyl is slightly reflective, but mostly dull, and not quite as smooth as the others. And for the bottom liners, Cricut Value vinyl has a translucent liner, while HTV Ront has a completely clear liner. Both feel nice and sturdy. Oracle has a paper liner with grid lines, making it easy to measure. Dollar Tree vinyl also has a paper backing, but it's much thinner and doesn't offer much structure. Now that we're more familiar with our vinyls, let's see how they perform for our sun catcher decals. These winter window clings are so simple, and you can make as many as you like. You can find the materials and tools I recommend below or over at jennifermaker.com/695. I can even teach you how to layer multiple colors of vinyl for more variation. So stick around until the end to find out how to do that. But for now, let's just get to the fun part and start testing our vinyl. First, download my free designs at jennifermaker.com/695. You can grab the files directly from that link by saving the project, or download from my entire free design collection. Just go to Libraries in the red bar at the top, and then click on either Get a Password if you need one, or Enter the library. Once inside, search for design number 695 and click the link to download. Now, if you're not familiar with downloading and unzipping files, check out jennifermaker.com/svgs for a quick tutorial. In the SVG folder, you'll find 7 cozy winter cling designs, including a hot cocoa mug, a gingerbread man, an ornament, a reindeer, and 3 unique snowflakes. For more options, there's also a DXF folder with cut files for other cutting machines, and a PDF folder with print and cut templates if you want to cut these by hand. Let's prepare the gingerbread man design using Cricut Design Space. Here he is on my canvas. The design is simple, making him the perfect test subject. The first characteristic of our vinyl is to test how well each brand cuts. So I prepared and cut a copy of our gingerbread man using each of our 4 vinyl options. Any of the Cricut cutting machines can cut all 4 kinds of vinyl plus our window cling, but I'm going to use my Cricut Maker 3 cutting machine today. For the window cling, I use the stencil film setting with more pressure and place the material carrier sheet down on a purple strong grip machine mat. For each vinyl test, I use the premium vinyl permanent glossy setting with more pressure to see how they behave using the vinyl settings I typically use. The Cricut, Oracle, and Dollar Tree vinyls were placed shiny side up on a green standard grip machine mat. The HTV Ront vinyl's shinier side was actually the liner, so it was placed matte side up on the mat instead to make sure we cut the correct side. Then follow the on-screen prompts to load and cut your materials. Now usually I check to see if the cuts go all the way through the vinyl, but today I'm only making one pass. So once the cuts finish, let's unload the mats and see how our vinyls have performed so far. Our Cricut Value vinyl cut very well, with the cuts going all the way through the material, but not the carrier sheet after one pass. The cut lines are also easily visible, and there are no rips, tears, or snags. HTV Ront and Oracle perform similarly, with only a few slight variations in visibility. However, the thin Dollar Tree vinyl didn't fare as well. In some spots, the material cut right through the carrier sheet, like you can see here with the hands. All right, now that the decals are cut, let's see how they weed. Remember, weeding means to take away the parts that you don't need before you transfer it. So I placed all 4 back on a green standard grip machine mat to hold them in place, which makes them easier to weed and compare. The Cricut Value Vinyl weeded great. As expected, it was easy to lift and peel the excess vinyl, and it pulled away from the liner cleanly. Any spots that came up were easily patted back into place. The HTV Ront vinyl weeded just as well. I really like the feel of this vinyl. It's thicker than the Cricut Value vinyl. For the Oracle, I had to use my weeding tool to keep some of the pieces down, but overall, weeding was pretty similar to the other two. But weeding the Dollar Tree vinyl was filled with issues. The vinyl didn't want to stick to the carrier sheet, and pieces moved around even though I didn't want them to. Once cutting and weeding are complete, lay all of the pieces face up and pair each vinyl decal with a window cling layer. Here are all 4 of my tests, organized so we can keep track of each vinyl as we continue testing. Let's start by assembling our Cricut Value vinyl decal. The window cling material can be curly, so place your weeded base layer back on a machine mat to hold it in place, carrier sheet down. Then make sure your vinyl decal is face up on your work surface. Cut a piece of standard grip transfer tape that is slightly larger than the decal, then remove the backing from the transfer tape. Fold your transfer tape slightly, like a taco or a U shape, to help center it onto your decal. Then smooth it down and burnish it from the center outward using the scraper tool. Flip the design over and gently peel off the backing from the vinyl. The Cricut Value Vinyl's backing comes up easily and smoothly, just like we want it to. Now a button did lift up, but I easily burnished it back down and tried again. Success! Fold your decal slightly, like a taco or a U shape, to help center it onto your window cling. My alignment was slightly off, but the vinyl easily lifted up so I could try again. Once it's in place, use your finger to rub from the center of the vinyl outward, tacking it in place on the window cling. Then use your scraper to press out as many bubbles as possible. Now you can peel off the transfer tape. Only a few small areas of my vinyl lifted up with the tape, but I easily patted them back into place. Overall, the Cricut Value vinyl transferred really smoothly. Doesn't my gingerbread man look so great? And now you can use these same steps to assemble your remaining window clings. So I'll transfer my 3 test vinyls onto their window cling layers and see if they work. And unfortunately, not all of my wintry window clings survived assembly. Some parts of the vinyl just stuck to the transfer tape, while other pieces tore during lifting. It's going to happen. In the end, though, I did have a great number of successes. Now, before I get to the final results, I just want you to know that if you're interested in creating a multicolored window cling, I can show you how to do this using your Cricut Design Space tools to separate each design into multiple layers. For a step-by-step design workshop to learn this skill and much more, you can join my special program called Advance over at jennifermaker.com/advance. The Advanced program is all about helping you advance your crafting skills by teaching techniques to make your designs truly unique, along with templates and tutorials. Members also get early access to my extensive library of designs, projects, and resources. I may or may not be accepting new members when you see this, but if you're interested, head over to jennifermaker.com/advance to learn more and see how it all works. All right, so here are the results of our vinyl tests. While Cricut Vinyl is still my go-to, the other brands we tried out today were also given a chance to shine. The Cricut Value Vinyl performs similarly to Cricut Premium Vinyl, which I used the first time I made these sun catchers. So the Value Vinyl cut very well, the lines of the vinyl were easy to see, and there weren't any rips or tears in the material. It also weeded nicely and adhered to the window cling without any issues. Overall, the Cricut Value Vinyl test was a success. Both HTV Ront and Oracle are solid alternatives to the Cricut Premium Vinyl. Both of these brands cut cleanly using my typical vinyl cut settings, and the cut lines were fairly easy to see, especially when held up to the light. The two brands differed when it came to weeding, with the HTV Ront being on par with the Cricut Vinyl, whereas I needed to use my weeding tool a lot more to keep the small pieces in place with the Oracle Vinyl. Luckily, I was able to successfully apply both types of vinyl to the window cling material, and neither one stuck stubbornly to either the carrier sheet or the transfer tape, making the assembly process as smooth as I'd hoped. So in the end, both the HTV Rond and Oracle gingerbread men turned out really well. But unfortunately, the Dollar Tree brand of vinyl doesn't hold up to the others. The vinyl is thin and its finish isn't as nice as the others is. My typical cut settings went right through the material, but unfortunately also through the backing. And it was difficult to weed because of the thinness and quality of the material. Plus, it was really difficult to transfer. It simply wasn't sticky enough to adhere to the cling no matter how hard I burnished it. I even tried taking it off the mat and burnishing it from the back. Eventually, I managed to transfer it, but it just wouldn't adhere securely. So, which vinyl do I recommend when Cricut vinyl is not an option? The Dollar Tree vinyl might be good in a quick bind, though maybe not for a project that you want to last, like our window clings. But Oracle and HTV Ront both have my vote of confidence. It really comes down to personal preference between these two. So I encourage you to keep exploring different combinations of vinyl and window cling to achieve your perfect look. Then once you're ready to decorate with your winter window clings, just peel the backing off the cling material and attach the cling in your desired location. And here's how the clings with the Cricut Value Vinyl, Oracle, and HTV Ront look in my window. Aren't they absolutely gorgeous? And when the light hits the gingerbread man just right, it's like he's playfully dancing with me. And I just want to note that this test was completely objective. I am not paid by any company to ever say anything positive or negative, nor to ever recommend a product that I don't love myself. I am completely independent and unsponsored by choice, so I can say what I want. And I'm so glad I was able to test out all of these different vinyls and share my results with you. I found some alternative brands that work just as well as Cricut for my window clings. And that's what creativity is all about, branching out and trying new things outside of your comfort zone. If you're ready to try something a little different, this busted canvas project is a fun surprise. It's one of those color outside the lines sort of crafts that proves creativity doesn't always have to follow the rules. This is a really popular and fun project and surprisingly sturdy. So grab your supplies, let go of perfection, and see where the process takes you. You might just surprise yourself. I just love this fun craft trend, where it looks like the canvas has busted open to reveal the design underneath. But I wanted to figure out an easier, safer way to try it out. Did my idea work? I'm going to show you in this video. Now, most busted canvas projects start with a stretched canvas that you decorate and cut open, but that can get messy. So what if we use different supplies to create the same fun, dimensional result and have a cutting machine do most of the hard work for us? You can do this, and my supplies are linked below and over at jennifermaker.com/653, so you can see exactly what I'm using for this project. You'll also find a written tutorial there, as well as my design files for this. Now, my version starts with a simple wooden tray, which we're going to turn into a frame. You can glue any image you like inside, but I'll show you how to print my pretty winter scenes on photo paper for practice. Then you'll need 2 pieces of pretty cardstock or scrapbook paper to make the cover that we're going to bust out. I used 2 patterns to add contrast and spray adhesive to keep them together. We'll cut the opening with a cutting machine, but you can also use my printable PDFs to trace and cut them by hand. And finally, I'll show you my favorite way to finish off the project so it looks like a torn open present. Isn't this fun? And for an extra special touch, you can add a bow and a gift tag. Stay tuned to learn where you can get my bow and gift tag tutorial. Now let me show you where to get my free files, and then we'll cut and assemble a busted canvas the easy way. Step 1. Get my busted canvas designs. First, download the canvas designs at jennifermaker.com/653. You can either download right from that link by saving the project, or download from my entire free design collection. To find it, look for Libraries in the red bar at the top, and then click either Get a Password if you don't yet have one, or click Enter the library. Search the page for design number 653 and click the link to download the designs. And if you're not sure how to do any of this, go to jennifermaker.com/svgs to learn how to download and unzip files. In the SVG folder, you'll find 3 files with shapes and lines your image can appear to bust through. There's also a DXF folder with cut files and a PDF folder with versions that you can print and cut by hand. And the PNG folder has several cute animal images that I made using an AI art generator and image editing software. You can use these in your canvas or your own images. If you want to learn more about my process for creating art like this, check out my AI art playbook over at jennifermaker.com/AI art playbook. Step 2. Prepare your materials. Now, before we make anything, we need to get our dimensions correct. So measure the frame's height and width. That's how big our busting paper will be. Mine is 10 inches square. Then measure the inner flat surface to see how large your print should be. Mine is 8.6 inches square. I found that double-sided paper works best for this busted canvas look, but my scrapbook paper was the same on both sides. So I worked in a well-ventilated area and used some adhesive spray. Always read and follow the directions and safety precautions on your product because there are a lot of different kinds. Make sure your papers are oriented the same way. Once the pieces are aligned back to back, use a brayer to really secure them together. Let them dry so the papers will cut well without shifting. Step 3. Prepare and cut your busted canvas design. Let me show you how to do this using the Cricut Design Space software and my Cricut cutting machine. Here is how the Star Lines SVG looks on my canvas, but you can use the other options too. To make the outer shape, click the Shapes icon and click the free square. With the lock icon closed, resize the square to match the frame's full measurement. Mine is 10 inches by 10 inches square. Click the color box near the operation menu to make the box white, then drag the square below the busted shape in the Layers panel. Select both layers, then click Align and choose Center so the cut lines are in the middle. The designs fit the frame in my shopping list, but I suggest you leave a 1-inch margin at the sides if you're using a different size. With both still selected, click Attach so they'll go on the same layer. Your project is now ready to cut. Make sure the correct machine is selected in the top right, and then click Make. On the Prepare screen, make sure the correct material size is selected for your mat. Then click Continue. On the Make screen, I used heavy cardstock setting with more pressure for my layered scrapbook paper with great results. Place your layered paper on a green standard grip machine mat with the outer design up and oriented correctly. And use a brayer again so the paper is fully adhered for the smoothest cuts. Check that your premium fine point blade is clean and in the clamp. And then press the flashing load button to load your prepared mat into your Cricut. Then press the flashing go button to begin cutting. When it's finished cutting, don't unload the mat right away. Instead, gently lift a corner to make sure the material is cut all the way through. If not, press the go button again to make the same cuts in the same spots. When the cuts are complete, unload the mat, flip the mat over onto your work surface, and roll it back to release the material. And if you have any issues with your cuts, check out my tips over at jennifermaker.com/cleanaircuts. Step 4. Print your hidden image. You can hide an image that you already have in the frame or print one out. I like to use Google Docs to print from my computer because it's free and easy to use. Log in or create a free account using my link over at jennifermaker.com/Google Docs. Then open Google Docs in your computer's internet browser. The mobile app doesn't have quite as much control, so I prefer using my computer. If you don't have a new document open, click Blank Document at the top left to start. Now Google Docs automatically saves your work, so click the area that says Untitled Document at the top and type a name for your project. A few changes will make this canvas easier to use, so click the File menu and select Page Setup. My images are pretty much square, so I'll keep the portrait orientation. We might need a lot of the printed page, so change the margins to 0 so the ink can nearly cover the whole sheet. And make sure your paper size matches your supplies. I'm using 8.5 by 11 inch or letter size photo paper, so the image looks bright and stands out from the papers. Click OK to apply the settings. Now we need something to print. So go to the Insert menu, select Image, and pick Upload from Computer. Select the hidden image you want to use from your computer. If you want to use one of my images, the folder is probably in your Downloads folder. I'm going to use the cute snowman. Click Open to add the image to your canvas, and don't worry if it's not the right size. To make the image match your frame, click Image Options at the top of the canvas. Then select Size and Rotation, which is at the side of my screen. Keep the Lock Aspect Ratio box checked to maintain the design's proportions, and change the height field to the frame's inner measurement you recorded. I'll make my height 8.6 inches, and that automatically changes the width to about 8 inches. Perfect, because that will fit on the paper and in the frame. This will be easier to cut with one more adjustment, so click the image and select the Wrap text icon from the menu that appears below it. This lets you move the design anywhere on the page, so drag the image to the center. Nothing will get caught off at the edges. And the image is ready, so go to the File menu and choose Print. Select your color printer under Destination and click the arrow beside More Settings to select Print Using System dialog for more control. Now your print menu may look different than mine. Just make sure the correct printer is selected and pick the highest quality photo paper setting. You can use matte, which is what I'm using, or glossy, but pick the matching setting so the ink settles correctly on your paper. Load your photo paper correctly into your printer following the package's instructions so it appears on the correct surface. Then click Print. Let the print dry before handling it because the ink can take a bit to settle on the photo paper. It can also scratch, so be gentle. Use a paper trimmer or scissors to cut along the design's edges and it's ready to go. Just be careful and watch your fingers. Step 5. Assemble your busted canvas. Place your frame face up and use a lint roller sheet to remove any debris from the surface. Any dust can keep your glue from sticking properly. Add thin lines and dots of craft glue to the back edges and corners of the hidden image. The glue may make the photo paper ripple a little, so keep it away from the middle. That way the subject will be smooth and the rest will be hidden by the front layer. Center the image face up inside the frame and gently press it in place without scratching the ink. To add the busted panel, run craft glue along the frame's 4 sides just on the front. Hold the layered paper with the pretty side up and the cut lines oriented how you want them. Then align the edges on the frame and press over the glue. Don't press in the middle or the paper might get damaged. Then let it dry for a few minutes. The canvas can lean on a shelf, but if you want it to hang, now is a good time to add the hardware. Make sure your image is right side up, then follow the directions from your favorite hanging supplies like 3M command strips or a sawtooth hanger before continuing. Keep the hanger's position in mind while you finish up. Our cuts aren't going to bust out on their own, so pick a wedge to start. Gently lift it while supporting the paper near the cuts to avoid tearing. Roll the wedge's tip away from the center around your fingers toward the thicker section, but stop before the cuts end. Hold the curl for about 30 seconds to help it hold the shape. Then carefully release it to unfurl it a little. That really looks popped open, I think. Lift and curl the rest of the wedges the same way to slowly reveal the hidden image. If you use one of the busted files, roll the cuts toward the outer edge the same way. Measure and cut a piece of ribbon long enough to go around the frame's exterior with an inch or so of overlap. My 10-inch frame took about 41 inches of ribbon. Use your craft glue to stick one end of the ribbon to a bottom corner of the frame so the ribbon hides the wood, and hold it to set so this end is really secure. Then work one side at a time to glue and wrap the ribbon taut around the rest of the frame. Just make sure it stays straight. Then secure the other end to the same corner and trim the excess. My glue didn't hold the ribbon to itself, but it worked well on the wood. Step 6. Show it off. Your busted canvas is complete and ready for gifting or display. Step 7, customize it. Do you love the busted canvas idea but want to add a little more detail? I can show you how to make a cute curly bow and gift tag through a special program called Advance with Jennifer Maker over at jennifermaker.com/advance. The Advance program helps to advance your crafting skills by teaching you how to make these popular designs unique and special through tutorials and templates, as well as give you advanced access to my vast library of designs, projects, and resources. Now, I may or may not be accepting new members into the Advanced program at the time you see this, but if you're interested, go to jennifermaker.com/advance to learn more and see how it all works. And our busted canvas is complete. So, do you think using a tray, some paper, and a cutting machine made the same fun look as the other approaches to this? I think so, but I want to know what you think. If you love decor that doubles as tradition, this 3D tree advent calendar will bring daily joy all season long. I still remember the excitement of counting down the days as a kid, and there's something so special about recreating that magic by hand. Every tiny box becomes a little gift of anticipation. This is one of my most popular Christmas projects, if not the most popular of all time. This is such a fun thing to make and to give too. The days leading up to Christmas are filled with anticipation. I just love finding fun ways to count down the days. Every year since 2017, I've debuted a new Advent calendar design to celebrate the days leading up to Christmas. This year, we're going to go back to the beginning and remake my Christmas tree Advent calendar, but this year we'll have some fun new updates. Many of you really loved this calendar when I made the original all those years ago, and you keep making it every year since then. You've even sent in photos of your own versions, which I absolutely loved and even shared on my blog. But one question many of you have had is, Jennifer, how do I keep these drawers from falling out and landing all over the place? So I've come up with a reliable way to keep the drawers from tumbling out anytime you move your Christmas tree. Stick around to see my secret trick for stay put drawers. Now let's take a look at our updated Christmas tree advent calendar. I found so many new colors and patterns of cardstock for the base, the drawers, and all of the fun accents. I even have a special way for you to customize your own number tabs if you want. All of these pieces need to be cut out, and for that, I'm going to use my handy Cricut cutting machine to do all the hard work. You can use the Maker, any Explorer series machine, or even the Cricut Venture for this project. If you don't have one of those, another cutting machine or even cutting it by hand also works. Once you have all of your pieces, you'll need a way to hold them all together. The best glue I have found for this is Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. Its precision tip is especially useful for sealing all of our tiny tabs. For a full list of tools and supplies, plus links to everything in my materials list, head on over to jennifermaker.com/659. That's also where you'll find written instructions with helpful photos and tips, just in case you prefer that to watching a video. So, are you ready to craft an adorable countdown calendar with room for 25 surprises? Let me show you where to get my free designs, and then we will cut and assemble this updated version of the Christmas tree advent calendar together. Step 1, get my free Christmas tree advent calendar designs. First, download my free designs at jennifermaker.com/659. You can either download right from that link by saving the project, or download from my entire free design collection. To find it, look for Libraries in the red bar at the top, and then click either Get a Password if you don't yet have one, or click Enter the library. Search the page for design number 659 and click the link to download the designs. If you're not sure how to do any of this, visit jennifermaker.com/svgs to learn how to download and unzip files. In the SVG folder, you'll find score and no score versions of my designs that you can use on a cutting machine. There are also DXF cut files for those who can't use SVGs, and a PDF folder with versions that you can cut by hand. In this video, I'll show you how to cut it using a Cricut. Upload the SVG file that you want to Cricut Design Space to get started. I'll demonstrate with the score design because it creates a smoother result. Step 2. Prepare and cut your calendar design. Here is the score version on my canvas in Cricut Design Space. Select the design and click the ungroup icon so you can separate the layers out so you can see them all. I always recommend that you ungroup a design because they usually come in grouped. Once you ungroup, you'll see that there are smaller groups in the design, indicated by the arrows in the Layers panel. Some of these have score lines that need to be attached. So click the arrow next to the first layer to expand the top left vertical support piece. You'll see that it has 2 layers, the score line layer and the cardstock shape. Select the top layer that has just a line through it. Click the Operation drop-down menu to change it to Score to make the crease lines where your shapes will be folded. Then select the upper layer with the arrow to select both of the grouped layers. Click Attach to tell Design Space to keep these 2 operations together. This is very important. If you don't do this, your score lines won't be on the piece where you want them. Repeat this process to expand, changing the top layer operation to score, and then attach the remaining vertical support pieces. Then prepare the tree topper and the 24 drawer pieces the same way. Once all of your score lines are changed and attached, that's all there is to it. The pieces of your Advent tree are ready to be cut and assembled. Make sure the correct machine is selected in the top right and click Make. On the Prepare screen, make sure the correct material size is selected for your materials. Since the magnet pieces will be cut from 4-inch by 6-inch sheets, be sure to change the gray mat's material size to match. Design Space will add a few more mats to fit all of the magnet pieces we'll cut. Select the first mat again so it will upload first on the next page and then click Continue. Now let's set our mat's base materials. My first mat is for the magnets, so I'll click on Browse All Materials and search for Magnet. Then I'll select Magnetic Sheet 0.5 millimeter and click Done. I'll leave the pressure as default. And I check the box for Remember Material Settings to save time between mats. Place the adhesive magnet sheet magnet side up on a green standard grip machine mat. Make sure the sheet is lined up with the mat grid's upper left corner and covers the design area shown on the screen. Use a brayer to make sure it's fully adhered to the mat. Check that your premium 5-point blade is clean and in the clamp. Then press the flashing button to load the prepared mat into your Cricut. And then press that flashing button in the middle to begin cutting. Your Cricut will cut through the magnet sheet so you have lots of smaller magnets to work with. This really shows how versatile and, I think, impressive the Cricut cutting machines are. Not only can they be used to cut thin materials like cardstock, but they also handle thicker materials like these magnet sheets without sacrificing quality. We can even cut them both using the same blade. Isn't that just so cool? I love it. When the cuts finish, don't unload the mat right away. Instead, gently lift a corner of the material to make sure the cuts went all the way through. If not, press that middle button again to make a second pass of cuts in the same spot. When it's finished cutting, unload the mat, flip the mat over onto your work surface, and roll the mat back to release the magnets. Now cut the rest of the magnet mats the same way. When you get to your cardstock mats, remember to change your material settings. I'll use the medium cardstock setting with more pressure for both my regular cardstock bases and patterned cardstock drawers, with one important difference. Place your regular cardstock for the base pieces face up on a green standard grip machine mat, and use a brayer to make sure they're fully adhered. But for the holiday themed cardstock for your drawers, place the paper face down instead. This way your paper will get scored on the back, making it easier to fold in the proper way with your pattern face out. For your mats with score lines, follow the screen prompts to select and add the tool that you chose as needed. I use the scoring stylus, but you can also use the scoring wheel depending on the machine you're using. And here's a fun tip I've recently learned about Design Space. If you check the Remember Material Settings box after changing the tool from the scoring wheel to the scoring stylus, it will remember your tool selections as well. But you always want to check that your material and tool settings are correct between mats, just in case. Now press the flashing button to load the prepared mat into your cutting machine. And then press that flashing middle button to begin cutting. When it's finished cutting, check the cuts and make a second pass if needed by pressing that middle button again. When the cuts are complete, unload your mat, flip your mat over onto your work surface, and roll the mat back to release the cardstock without any ripping or tearing. And remember to change the material settings for your glitter cardstock tree toppers and ornaments too. I'll use glitter cardstock with more pressure. Place the material face up on a green standard grip machine mat and brayer it down well. Then use the same steps to cut, check, and unload your glitter pieces. I recommend you use a spatula to help lift delicate parts and your weeding tool to poke out small bits of cardstock that may have been left behind. And use a scraper tool to remove the small bits left on your mat after you remove the cut pieces. And if you have any trouble with your cuts, I have many helpful tips over at jennifermaker.com/blades. Now lay out all of your cut pieces face up and organize them into neat piles by type. You should have 8 vertical support walls, 4 octagonal horizontal supports, 8 small box pieces, 8 medium box pieces, 8 large box pieces, the tree top piece, 25 ornament numbers, 16 small magnets, 16 medium magnets, and 16 large magnets. Refer to the Cricut Design Space screen if you're not sure about some of the pieces' orientation. Step 3. Assemble your Christmas tree advent calendar. All but the horizontal supports and ornaments will require folding, so grab a support and your scraper tool. Begin by folding the vertical support in half along the crease line. You want to line up the 4 slots along the side as best you can. Placing the edge of a large scraper along the crease line can really help with this. With the support piece face down, add a thin line of craft glue to one long edge. The precision tip on the Barely Art glue works really well for this. Then fold along the seam and press the edges in place. Fold and glue the other 7 support pieces the same way and let them dry. Next, let's build the support structure for our tree. Set the 2 largest base octagons face up. Hold the support piece pointing up with the bottom slit aligned with another one on the bottom octagon. Then slide them together. Make sure everything is slid all the way. We want to build our structure securely so it will stand up on its own once it's all together. Slide the next octagon into the support piece's next slot the same way. Then add the rest of the support pieces to the other slots on the 2 octagons. Now you should have the bottom 2 shelves in place with the vertical supports holding them up. Take the next octagon and gently match its slots with the next tier of slots on the support pieces to add the 3rd shelf. Add the smallest octagon the same way to make the top shelf and complete the frame. Now that we have our base together, it's starting to look like a Christmas tree. We can set this aside while we work on the rest of the pieces. Now let's assemble our drawers with our magnets to keep them in position. Remember, there are 3 sizes of drawers: small, medium, and large. For each size, you have 8 drawers. All of the drawers are assembled the same way, but I'll show you how to fold a large one so it's easier to see on your screen. Place the drawer piece face down and fold up the 3 tabs along the crease lines. If you're not sure how to orient a piece, refer back to your canvas in Cricut Design Space. Make sure you start face down or else you won't get to show off the festive pattern on your cardstock. Fold up each of the 3 sides of the drawers. Then glue the tabs to the sides and pinch them in place to set. I found it easiest to glue the front 2 tabs and then glue the back tab. Continue folding the tabs and gluing the sides together until all 24 drawers are assembled. Go ahead and let those dry for a few minutes. Next, let's attach the numbered ornaments. One at a time, take an ornament piece and use a small amount of craft glue to adhere it to the front of a drawer. You can arrange the ornaments in numerical order or mix them up however you like. You will have 25 numbers but only 24 drawers, so don't let that confuse you. The 25th ornament goes in at the very top space, under the tree topper. And you could put a special surprise there. Now we have one more thing to do before we can slide these drawers into place. We need to add the magnets. Start by pairing up the magnet pieces by size. If the magnets seem to repel or don't match straight, turn one 180 degrees, or, turn it around, so the two magnets line up when stuck together. You should have 8 sets for each size of magnets, small, medium, and large, to match the size of our drawers. Next, peel the backing off one magnet in a small set. I found that using a weeding tool helps if the backing doesn't come off easily. Apply the sticky side to the exterior bottom of a small drawer. Press the magnet in place to make sure it adheres well. Then peel the backing off the other side of the magnet pair, realigning the magnets if necessary. Push the drawer into position on the top shelf of the Christmas tree advent calendar without letting the bottom touch until it's in place. Then use your thumb to press up from the underside of the shelf the drawer is resting on while pressing down lightly from the top of the drawer with your forefinger. This magnet will allow your drawers to stay in place even when they aren't full. Continue adhering the magnets and positioning the remaining drawers in place, working from top to bottom to make sure you can apply pressure from the underside of each shelf easily. Keep going until every drawer is in place and your tree is full. And there's just one last thing to do before we can start using our countdown calendar. We need to assemble the tree top. And don't worry, this part is super simple. So you'll be filling up these drawers with small gifts and candy in no time. Take your white treetop piece and place it face down. Then fold along all of the crease lines so it starts to curl into a cone shape. Add glue to the tab where it will touch the other side of the topper. Bring the other side over to cover the tab and hold it in place to set. The assembled tree topper rests on top of your tree. No need to secure it in place. Plus, it's the secret hiding spot of Day 25's gift. Just lift off the top to find the gift. Step 4, show it off. Your Christmas tree advent calendar is all finished. Just place your advent items in the boxes and don't forget to lift the tree topper to place a gift on the very top shelf. Then enjoy sharing a gift every day of the holidays. Step 5, customize your advent calendar. If you love this project and want to customize the advent calendar even more, I have a way that you can do that through my Advance with Jennifer Maker program over at jennifermaker.com/advance. You can get an exclusive toolkit that I made and learn how to create custom number ornaments with a special design workshop video. The Advance program helps to advance your crafting skills by teaching you how to make these popular designs unique and special through tutorials and templates, as well as give you advanced access to my vast library of designs, projects, and resources. Plus, we have fun member challenges and so much more. Now, I may or may not be accepting new members into the Advanced program at the time you see this, but if you're interested, go to jennifermaker.com/advance to learn more and see how it all works. I think this is just the cutest way to count down the days until your special holiday. I like to use it to count down the days of Merry Maker Mingle, which is when I debut a new project every day in December as a special gift to you. But really, you can use it to count down to anything you like. This advent calendar is especially great for sharing with friends and family. Just put a small prize inside each drawer, and when the day comes, open it to celebrate together. Plus, this is a sturdier version of the original that I made in 2017. So if you've made one in the past and think it's time for an upgrade, this is worth your time. And best of all, no more drawers falling out of place and spilling your prizes before you get to enjoy them. Now let's bring in some classic Christmas color with a handmade poinsettia garland, perfect for mantles, railings, or tables. I adore this project because it ties everything together with timeless holiday warmth. It's like weaving a ribbon of joy through your home. And it is so classy. These are crepe paper flowers, and they're just so beautiful. Hello everybody, Jennifer Maker here. It's a beautiful day to make something festive for winter. Today I'll show you how to make this lovely garland with poinsettias, holly, and pine branches. It's not made out of real flowers though, not even silk flowers, but paper. That's right, I said paper. Can you believe how realistic these look? Me either. And I can't wait to show you how you can make this beautiful bow for your holiday decor. Aren't these paper floral garlands just the most amazing things? These flowers are so realistic that every time I see them, I do a double take. I mean, how do we do it? Well, the secret is to use crepe paper. The grain of the crepe paper really mimics the natural texture of poinsettias, and together with the holly and pine branches, it makes a gorgeous garland that will last all winter long. No dead plants or crispy dried up pine needles here. Now this project can be cut by hand, but today I'll show you how to make these using a Cricut Maker 3 cutting machine. But you can also use the original Cricut Maker. The key to cutting the crepe paper on a cutting machine is to use the rotary tool, which is only compatible with the Cricut Maker models. If you don't have a rotary tool, you can still make this faux garland using regular cardstock or paper. It just won't look quite as realistic as it does with the crepe paper. Or you can cut your crepe paper by hand. I'll be using these colors of crepe paper made by my friend Leah Griffith. Use any colors you like, of course. This crepe paper actually came all together in a pack just like this, which takes the guesswork out of creating a nice cohesive color palette for your garland. I love these. Now I also recommend this pack because it's a bit sturdier and less likely to tear than whatever crepe paper you might find out there. This is the good stuff. This is easier to work with and it'll be more durable for next year and future years. You'll also need a purple strong grip machine mat, a brayer, and a spatula tool to help you remove the crepe paper from the mat after it's cut. And you'll also want some artificial berries for your holly as well, and 24-inch gauge floral wire and a measuring tape with wire cutters to create your stems. Now I'll use about 7 feet of thick floral wire for the garland's base, but your length depends on how many flowers you make and how long you want your garland. Last but not least, you'll need some quality craft glue. I love this stuff. It's Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. And you'll also want a good amount of green 1/2-inch wide floral tape to attach everything together and add those finishing touches. And because everyone learns differently, you can follow this video tutorial or the detailed written instructions on my blog post at jennifermaker.com/551. That's also where you'll find the full supply and tool list for this project. And it has photos of the steps, tips, plus links to find everything that you need here. So, are you ready to get started? Let me show you where to get the files and we will begin. Step 1. Get my free garland designs. First, download my designs at jennifermaker.com/551. You can either download right from that link by saving the project or download from my entire free design collection. To find it, look for Libraries in the red bar at the top, then click either Get a Password if you don't yet have one, or click Enter the library. Search the page for design number 551 and click the link to download the designs. Inside the file, you'll find designs for one 8-inch wide poinsettia, 6 leaves to make a 6-inch wide holly stem, and 2 rectangular pieces for a single 7-inch tall pine branch. Now you can cut the crepe paper by hand with the PDF patterns I've provided, but it is easier and faster to do it with a cutting machine like a Cricut, which is what I'll show you how to do in this video. I'm using a Cricut Maker 3, but you can also use an original Cricut Maker or another cutting machine that has a rotary blade function and works with SVG cut files. So to begin, unzip the file and upload the SVG to Cricut Design Space. If you're not sure how to do this, visit jennifermaker.com/svgs. Step 2. Prepare your design. Here's how the SVG looks on my canvas in Cricut Design Space. Zoom out to see the whole design using the minus button. With the design selected, click the Ungroup icon. See how the poinsettia bracts, these red shapes here, and the holly leaves are oriented diagonally on the canvas? This diagonal direction ensures that the grain of the crepe paper is running in the right direction when the pieces are cut for maximum realism. So be careful that you do not rotate them. You want to cut your pieces at this exact angle for the right effect.
Now decide how many copies of each flower you'd like to make. Then duplicate them by selecting the layer and clicking the duplicate icon. I want my garland to be about 6 feet long, so I'll make 5 poinsettias with both red layers, 6 holly stems, and 8 pine branches. And don't forget you'll need 5 sets of poinsettia stamens too. Now let's change some colors to match the crepe paper we're using. With one of the poinsettias selected, click the color swatch next to Operation and choose a new color. I'll change 2 sets of the poinsettias to white and one of them to dark red. I'll change 4 sets of the pine needles to a different color green. Now, I do not recommend that you resize these designs because crepe paper is finicky and we need the pieces to fit the material just so. Just trust me here. We are now ready to cut. With the correct machine selected, click Make. Since the crepe paper is just under 10 inches tall in the orientation we need to cut it, click on each mat and make sure none of the pieces extends below the horizontal 10-inch mark. Note that these stamen pieces here are too far down on the mat. Does another mat this color have any room? It does. So go back to the other mat, select one of the stamen pieces. Click the 3 dots and choose Move Object. Now select the other green mat with stamens. And repeat this with the other stamens. Just don't go past that horizontal 10-inch mark. And remember, do not rotate any of the pieces or your crepe paper grain won't run in the proper direction on your petals and leaves. Feel free to combine any other mats you can, like the pine needles. Then click back on the first mat again and click Continue. Cutting. On the Make screen, click Browse All Materials. Crepe paper doesn't cut like regular paper or cardstock, and when I did my tests, the crepe paper setting didn't work very well either. But I make the mistake so you don't have to, and I found a setting that does work better. So search for medium fabrics like cotton. I had much better luck with this setting. So select medium fabrics and then click Done. Leave the pressure at default and select the Remember Material Settings box to apply the setting to the other mats. Reference your cuts in Cricut Design Space to make sure you use the right size material to accommodate each mat's pieces. Cut your material just a bit wider than the pieces on your first mat. Now, making sure the grain of the crepe paper is running vertically on the mat like this, place it on a clean and sticky purple strong grip machine mat. Be careful not to stretch the crepe paper as you're placing it on the mat though. Now use a brayer with firm pressure to fully and evenly adhere the crepe paper to the mat. If the edges of your paper aren't staying stuck to your mat, you can apply painter's tape to hold them down. Now load your rotary blade into clamp B. Load your machine mat into your Cricut and press the flashing button to start cutting. Now, because crepe paper can be finicky, it's best to stay with your cutting machine while it cuts. If you notice any pieces lifting or tearing, be sure to pause the cut right away and refer to the written tutorial I have over at jennifermaker.com/551 for help. Now, before you unload the mat, peel back a corner of the crepe paper to see if the cut went all the way through. If it didn't, stick that crepe paper back down and press the Start button for another pass. When the pieces are fully cut, unload your mat and flip the mat over onto your work surface. Now gently roll the mat back. It's best to remove the pieces going with the grain to avoid stretching the crepe paper when you remove it, so look at the closest edge. If the lines run parallel to the edge, rotate the mat 90 degrees and make sure they're perpendicular instead. Now roll the mat back and you'll see that the grain is now horizontal. Use a spatula to help carefully lift it off the mat, and scissors to cut away any little spots that might still be attached. Now prepare, load, and cut the rest of your pieces following the same methods, making sure not to stretch the crepe paper as you're removing it from your mat. and use that spatula tool to lift those delicate areas. Now, as you remove pieces from the mat, organize them into separate stacks for each flower, holly stem, and pine branch. This will help you a lot. Step 3, assemble your paper floral garland. Poinsettias. To make your first poinsettia stem, use the measuring tape and wire snips to cut an 8-inch piece of floral wire. Now grab the 2 stamen pieces. Stretch the rounded tip of each piece horizontally to widen it. On the smaller stamen piece, apply glue to the first third of the bottom edge. If your crepe paper isn't the same color on both sides, add the glue to the side that you want to show. Wrap the glued stamen section around the wire's end. Continue adding more glue to the stamen piece, wrapping it around the wire as you go. After the entire small stamen piece is attached, add glue to the pretty side of the larger stamen piece and wrap it around the small one. To finish, cut a piece of floral tape about 8 inches long. Then give it a gentle stretch to activate the stickiness. Wrap that stretched floral tape around the bottom of the attached stamen pieces and onto the wire to secure them. Pull gently as you wrap to encourage the tape to stick to itself. Fluff the stamen pieces by separating them from each other and gently push all the tips outward. Now cut 3 6-inch pieces and 3 8-inch pieces of floral wire for the poinsettia's 3 small and 3 large bracts. Straighten out the wires if they were bent at all while being cut. Then find the 6 large bract half pieces and the 6 smaller bract half pieces. Match up the large bract half pieces in pairs along their straight edges. Then do the same with the small ones. Now you've got 3 large full bracts and 3 small ones. The paper grain for each full bract makes a V shape like the veins of a real flower. Isn't that cool? Take one of the small bract pairs and apply a line of glue about 1/16 inch in from the straight edge of 1/2. Press a 6-inch wire piece into the glued area, starting about 1/2 inch below the pointed tip of the paper. Don't stretch the crepe paper and hold the wire in place to dry for about 15 seconds. Apply another line of glue on top of the attached wire section and at the very tip of the paper. Take the other bract half and, starting from the bottom, begin adhering it to the glue, sandwiching the wire between the papers with about 1/8 of an inch overlap. The tips will be uneven, but don't worry about that for now. Set the assembled bract aside to dry completely. Repeat these steps to attach the rest of your bract half pairs, making sure to attach the 6-inch wire pieces to the small bracts and the 8-inch wire pieces to the large bracts. Once they're dry, cut the bracts overlap tips to make perfect points at the tops. Holding the bract at the base of the paper, use your hands to gently curve the wire down to create a slight arch from the base of the bract to the tip. They already look really pretty, don't they? Let's make them look even more natural. Pinch a section of one bract's outer edge between your thumbs and forefingers. Pull one outward against the grain to make a gentle wave in the paper. Repeat this technique with each of the bracts. When finished, your bracts should look similar to mine. Cut 2 pieces of floral tape about 8 inches long and stretch them to activate the adhesive. Set them aside for a moment. Arrange the wires on the 3 small bracts around the stamen's wire stem, aligning the bracts' bases with the top of the floral tape on the stamen. Take 1 piece of cut floral tape and wrap it around the stems of the 3 bracts to secure them to the longer stem. Then use the other piece of floral tape to attach the 3 large bracts to the stem just below the small bracts. Bend and arrange the attached bracts so they're evenly spaced around the center of the stamen. And there you go. Your first poinsettia is complete. Now you know how to make the rest too. Holly stems. Cut 3 pieces of floral wire approximately 5¼ inches long for the leaf stems. Straighten out the wires as best you can. Find 6 of the holly leaf half pieces and pair them up. The paper grain for each full leaf makes a V shape, just like with the poinsettia. Take 1 pair and apply a line of glue to the entire straight edge of 1/2, about 1/16 inch from the edge. Position a wire piece about 1/2 inch below the pointed tip and press it into the glue to dry. Be careful not to stretch the crepe paper. Apply another line of glue on top of the wire and up to the tip of the leaf. Starting at the bottom, take the other leaf half and press it on the glue to sandwich the wire with about 1/8 inch overlap. Then set the leaf aside to dry. Repeat these steps to make the other 2 holly leaves needed for 1 bunch. When they're fully dry, cut the overlapped areas at the tips to make a perfect point at the top. Holding the base of the paper, gently curve the wire down to create a slight arch in the leaf. Your 3 holly leaves should look similar to mine. Cut a piece of floral tape approximately 4 inches long and then stretch it to make it sticky. Grab 3 holly berries and wrap their wire stems together with the tape. Cut another piece of floral tape about 8 inches long and stretch it. Arrange the 3 assembled leaves around the berries so each stem is in between the 2 berries. The base of each leaf should meet the bottoms of the berries. Then use the other piece of floral tape and wrap it around the stems. Your first holly bunch is now complete. Follow the same steps to make the others. Pine branches. Now let's make a pine branch. Cut a piece of floral wire about 8 inches long. Grab one of the pine needle pieces and apply a couple inches of glue at one end of the straight bottom edge. Try not to get any glue on the top with the pine needle strips. Begin wrapping the glued end around the top of the floral wire, pulling the strip of paper slightly downward as you wrap. Continue adding glue in small sections as you wrap. Keep gradually wrapping down the wire until you reach the end of the paper. It's totally okay if you stretch the paper as you wrap. It's also okay if you get glue on the outside. It will dry clear and it won't be noticeable after you fluff the needles. If you would like a longer or fuller pine branch, you can attach a second pine needle piece over it in the same color. Leave about 2 inches of the wire exposed at the base of the branch. Finish making the rest of your other pine branches. When your pine needles are dry, you can fluff the needles by pulling each one outward and downward away from the stem. And now you have pine branches for your garland. Assemble your garland. With all my flowers lined up, they'll make about 6 feet of garland. Here's how we do it. Using your wire cutters, cut the thick brown floral wire about a foot longer than your intended garland length. Since my garland will be about 6 feet long, I'll cut 7 feet of wire for my base. Loop the wire over at each end by about 2 to 3 inches, then wrap the ends of the loops around the wire base a few times to secure them. Arrange your poinsettias evenly across the length of the wire base. I spaced mine about 11 inches apart to leave room for the holly and the pine branches. Place the pine branches and the holly bunches where you'd like them, in between the attached poinsettias and at the ends of the garland. When you're happy with the placement of everything, wrap the poinsettia flower stems tightly around the garland base, leaving about 2 inches of stem loose at the base of each flower. Now wrap the holly bunches and the pine branches around the garland wire, all the way up to their bases. Cut several pieces of floral tape, roughly 8 inches long. Stretch one out to activate the adhesive. Starting at one end of the garland, wrap the tape around the entire garland wire base to secure everything and hide the wrap stems. Keep going, stretching and wrapping the tape to cover the entire garland. Step 4, show it off. Here is our finished paper floral garland. I just love how real it looks, and it is so different from anything that you can buy in a store. And there are so many ways to use these wintertime crepe paper flowers too. Display them on a mantle, or drape it over a railing, or wrap it around your Christmas tree.
Didn't these turn out so incredible? The crepe paper texture makes them look so realistic. And what's extra cool is that these will never die. And if you store them carefully in a low humidity environment, they should last at least a few seasons, if not many more. And there are so many different ways that you can use and display them too. You can put them on your Christmas tree, as I did here. You could have them on your mantle. Or wouldn't these look beautiful on a holiday table as a centerpiece? You can even make some separate poinsettias, as I did here, some holly stems or pine branches to add to other projects, like my holiday sign. There are really so many possibilities. You can even wrap fairy lights around the garland to give it some sparkle. How fun is that? Now let's add some glow and dimension with these 3D tree lanterns. This is one of my favorite cozy winter crafts. There's something about soft light flickering through paper that instantly makes a space feel peaceful, you know? And this is the kind of project that turns an ordinary evening into a magical one. And it's a lot easier to make than you might think. I just love easy and simple projects like this. They may look intricate, but they're so easy to put together and they only take a few supplies. So few supplies, in fact, that you only need 5 sheets of 12 by 12 inch cardstock. That's right, and an LED light like this to make them. Plus some copy paper or vellum to diffuse the light if you'd like, but those are completely optional. And if you want to use the star pieces that go on top, those do take a little glue, but I like the result with or without the star. They're both beautiful. Now in this video tutorial, I'll use a Cricut Maker 3 cutting machine to cut out my pieces, but you can use any cutting machine that fits 12 by 12 inch or 8.5 by 11 inch cardstock. That includes the original Cricut Maker, any of the Explorer series machines, the Cricut Venture, and the Cricut Joy Extra. And original Cricut Joy users, I didn't forget about you. I've included a Joy version of the files so you can make your very own mini tree. There's only a few other things you'll need, but don't worry, I've got a full list of tools and supplies, plus links on exactly where to find them in my materials list. You'll find it over at jennifermaker.com/547. And because everyone learns differently, you can also find written instructions there too. It has photos of the steps and tips. So, are you ready to get started? Let me show you where to get the files and then how to cut and even customize your very own tree.
Step 1, get my free 3D paper tree lantern designs. First, download my designs at jennifermaker.com/547. You can either download right from that link by saving the project, or download from my entire free design collection. To find it, look for Libraries in the red bar at the top, then click either Get a Password if you don't yet have one, or click Enter the library. Search the page for design number 547 and click the link to download the designs. There are 4 designs in the SVG folder: snowflakes, poinsettias, happy holidays, and a file with blank panels that you can customize. Each design has score and no score versions too. I'll use a Cricut Maker 3 to make this project, but you can use any cutting machine that fits 12 by 12 inch or 8.5 by 11 inch cardstock. There's even a special design for those of you with Cricut Joy cutting machines. Look for the folder called For Joy Users that has smaller files that can be cut on a Cricut Joy. In this video, I'll show you the basic steps to make the no-score poinsettia design using cardstock and vellum. And then we'll create a custom tree together. Step 2. Prepare and cut your 3D paper tree. On a blank Cricut Design Space canvas, click Upload and then Upload Image. Click Browse and find the SVG you want to use. Click Upload and then select the new design under Recent Uploads and click Add to Canvas. Here's how the poinsettia SVG file with no score lines looks on my canvas in Cricut Design Space. Now it's already sized to fit either 8.5 by 11 inch or 12 by 12 inch cardstock, so you don't have to do a thing. The gray diffuser layers are optional, but I'll cut them to demonstrate how you can add them without glue too. The yellow star pieces are also optional, and glue is the easiest way to add those. If you want to avoid using glue entirely, just click the layer's eye icons to hide them. With the correct machine selected in the top right, click Make. On the Prepare screen, set the material size to match each kind of paper you're using. I'm using 8.5 by 11 inch vellum for the diffuser layers and 12 by 12 inch cardstock for the trees and panels. Once you're done, select the first mat again and then click Continue. Now click Browse All Materials and find the setting for your diffusers. Use copy paper 20 pound if that's what you're using, but I'm going to select vellum since I'm using vellum. Select your material and click Done. Now for either option, I recommend you change the pressure to more for a cleaner cut. Place your diffuser paper face up on a green standard grip machine mat and use a brayer to make sure it's really well stuck to the mat. Make sure your fine point blade is clean and in the clamp. And load your mat into your Cricut and press the Go button to begin cutting. When the cut is complete, unload your mat, flip your mat over onto your work surface, and roll the mat back away from the material to release it without curling or ripping. And then cut the second sheet in the same way. Next up are the cardstock mats. Set the material to medium cardstock 80 pound. And change the pressure to more for a cleaner cut again. Place your cardstock face up on a green standard grip machine mat, and again use a brayer to make sure everything is really well adhered. Now, because there are a lot of intricate cuts in this project, a clean blade will save you so much time and materials. To get my blade clean, I used aluminum foil. That's just the regular stuff from your kitchen. So in between each mat, take a balled up piece of aluminum foil and carefully poke your Cricut blade in and out of that ball about 30 to 40 times. Doing this removes paper fibers, adhesive, and oxidation, and this really can make a difference in your cuts. And then load your machine mat into your Cricut and press the Go button to begin cutting. When the cut is finished, unload the mat and flip your mat over onto your work surface and roll the mat away from your cardstock to release your cardstock cleanly. And remember to place your pieces face up so they're the right way later on. You can use the spatula to help lift stubborn or delicate areas if you need to. And then continue on and cut the rest of your mats. Custom panels with Happy Holidays. If you want to create custom panels, start with the blank tree design with score in its name and add that to your canvas. Now with the design selected, click the ungroup icon. This design looks similar to the other one, but the panels have big, plain openings all ready for us to add our own design. Scroll down and you'll see snowflakes, holiday lights, and some flower and vine elements that you can add to your panel. You can use these or use whatever designs you wish. I'll show you how to customize your tree using these designs in this video. First, we'll use the string of lights to customize our first panel. Click and drag those elements away from the others. Then drag a bounding box around the rest of the elements and click Group. Then in the Layers panel, use the eye icon to hide everything so you only see the one blank panel, including its grouped score layer and the string of lights. Then use the plus sign to zoom in on the blank panel. Now click the text icon to create a text box and then type whatever word or phrase you would like. I'm going to type Happy Holidays in all capital letters. Now size it down so it's easier to work with. Choose a font from the font drop-down if you like, but I'm just going to stick with Cricut Sans. And then when you've got your font, close the menu. Thicker text is going to be easier to cut and read, so change the style to bold if that's an option. Now, it won't fit in the panel right now, but here are some ways to adjust the design. If you're using more than one word, move your cursor right after the first one and press Enter or Return on your keyboard to move the second one to a new line. With the text box still selected, click Advanced and then Ungroup to Lines. With the lock icon under Size closed to maintain proportions, click and drag the bounding box on each word to resize it so it fits across the opening of one of the blank panels, overlapping the frame a little on each side. Click the Shapes menu and select the square. Click the lock icon to unlock the square's proportions, and then click and drag the bounding box's corner to resize it into a long, skinny, horizontal rectangle. Make it large enough that it overlaps the area in between your two words, as well as the frame. Now move the words too if you need. As much of the outer letters as possible should be touching the frame. Zoom in if you need to see better. Select the element you'll use to connect everything, then click Arrange and Bring to Front. Then click Duplicate so you can use the copy and keep the original. Now drag, rotate, and resize the elements to fill the frame, duplicating it as desired. Overlap them with the words, the edges of the frame, and each other. Don't worry if some of the elements extend beyond the outer edges of the frame. Click the Shapes icon and select another square. Click the lock icon to unlock the proportions, then resize it to roughly the height of the panel and wide enough so that it covers all of the elements extending past the panel's outer edge. Hover your cursor over a corner of the bounding box until the rotate icon shows. Then click and rotate the rectangle clockwise until its right edge is at the same angle as the panel's left edge, about 9 degrees. Drag it so it's overlapping any elements extending past the panel's outer frame. With the rectangle selected, click the Duplicate icon. Now click back on the original rectangle, then hold the Shift key down to select it and one of the extending elements. And then click Slice. Delete the slice results except for the piece remaining inside the frame as part of the design. Move the other rectangle into the frame in the same spot as the other one was, and duplicate the rectangle. Keep slicing away the remainder of the elements extending past the left side of the panel. Once the left side is finished, select the last duplicated rectangle. Click Flip and then choose Flip Horizontal. Now slice away the elements extending past the right side of the panel. In the Layers panel, find the group with the panel frame. Select it and click the Ungroup icon. Find the scoreline layer from that group. It will be colored red, and click its name. Rename it to Score. Now double check everything and make sure you're happy with how your customized panel looks. Then drag a bounding box around the frame to select it and all of its added elements. Hold Shift and click on the Score layer in the Layers panel to deselect it. Click Combine and choose Weld to permanently attach everything but the score layer for now. Now you may notice small cutout areas within the design that look too tiny or intricate for your Cricut to cut. We can take care of those. To do that, so with the panel selected, click the contour icon. Scroll down to the bottom of the list to find the tiniest cutouts, then click them to hide them. When you're done, click the X to exit the pop-up. Select the layer that you named Score. Under Arrange, click Bring to Front. Then under Operation, change it to Score. Select the score lines and frame, and then click Attach. Your custom panel is all done. Select the custom panel and click Duplicate until you have 6 matching panels. If you have any hidden pieces, click the eye icons to unhide them, then delete anything you don't want to cut. I'll delete these 5 empty panels and the extra design elements as I no longer need them. And then we're ready to cut. Step 3. Assemble your 3D paper tree lantern. Let's assemble the tree lantern with the poinsettia designs and the dash cut lines. If you look at the tops, this one has 2 notches at the top. The next has a notch going down to the bottom of the star, and the last one has a notch at the top of the star. Take the first frame and then slot the second one into it, first at the top, then at the bottom. Curve the cardstock to make them fit together. Press the 2 layers flat, and then grab the third frame piece and slot it into the other 2. Once the 3 pieces are assembled, space out the layers to make the tree stand up, just like this. Find the large bottom base piece, which has notches all the way around it. Insert the base piece into the middle of the assembled frame. Align the base's notches with the notches on the bottom of the assembled tree frame. Begin inserting them one at a time. You'll need to bend the cardstock just a bit, so be careful not to tear it, but you can do this. Insert the top base piece the same way. Remember, take your time and go in the order to make it easier on yourself. Now lay out the panels face down so all the designs are in the same direction. For the poinsettia panels, there should be a flower in each lower right corner. Each panel has tabs with scored or dashed lines at the top and the bottom. Fold all of the tabs up so they're going in the same direction. If you cut the diffuser pieces, lay one on a panel using the cardstock tabs to keep it in place. The diffuser fits snugly enough inside the folded panel tabs that you don't even need glue. Add the diffusers to the other panels the same way. Slide the large bottom tabs into a slot on the bottom tree base. Unfold the small tabs to lock the bottom of the panel into place. Slide the panel's small top tab into the slot on the top tree base. Now unfold the small tabs to lock the top of the panel into place. Insert the next 4 panels the same way, but leave one panel off for now. Now test your remote-controlled LED light to make sure it's working and responds well to your remote. Insert the LED light into the tree through that missing panel, the one you haven't put on yet, centering it inside. Now you can insert the last panel. That's why we wanted the remote-controlled light. And admire your work. The star pieces. If you cut the optional star pieces, I found it was much easier to add them while they're flat before the tree is assembled. Here's where you will need a little bit of glue. One at a time, add some craft glue to the back of each star half and affix them to the star shapes at the top of the tree. Once the glue is dry, assemble your tree just as I showed you. Step 4, show it off. And here are the finished 3D paper tree lanterns, all lit up and ready for the holidays. I just love how simple these are to make. Even the custom version. They come together quickly and they look so impressive, don't you think? And the fact that they use so few materials means that you can make a whole bunch of them fast and easy. These look so pretty out on display at the holidays. You can even display a regular size along with a joy size version to mix it up. I can't wait to see how you show yours off. And here is another inexpensive Dollar Tree craft, the light up snowman. He's cheerful, bright, and guaranteed to make you smile every time you walk by and see him. And I just love how something so simple, which is really just 2 decorated glass bowls and a paper hat, can feel so magical once it's all made and lit up. This is one of those projects that reminds us it does not take much to bring a little extra light and joy into your home. So I've been on a big Dollar Tree kick lately, finding all sorts of fun things to use in my Cricut crafting. I recently found these glass bowls in the floral section
of Dollar Tree, which can be combined together to make a super cute snowman, just like this little guy right here. So I'm going to show you how you can make this so you can have one too. I calculate that it was only $9 for the supplies to make my light up snowman. Links to everything I used in this tutorial, including alternate sources beyond Dollar Tree for items, are in my supply list at jennifermaker.com/358. But let's go over each item so you know what you need. First, you need 2 glass bowls. I got these 4.9-inch glass bowls from Dollar Tree, but you can find them at craft stores, Walmart, and Amazon. Now, I recommend putting in something inside your bowls. You can get little ornaments and fake snow to make cute little scenes, or you can get some LED fairy lights as I have done with my snowman. If you do that, I recommend you do something to diffuse the light, such as frost the outside or glitter the inside. And I'm going to show you how to do both in this video. Now, to decorate the snowman, I cut a snowman face and buttons from permanent vinyl on my Cricut cutting machine, and I applied it to the front. Easy peasy. The dapper little hat is made out of cardstock, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that in this tutorial too. Other things to have on hand include some craft glue so that you can assemble your hat, some hot glue to attach your glass bowls together, and some ribbon or felt to decorate your snowman. I used this Dollar Tree ribbon for the scarf and the hat, and this Dollar Tree stocking to make the wee little mittens. I just cut the back out. The only other thing that you need are the hat and the snowman face designs, and I'm sharing those freely. So let me show you where to find the free designs, and then we will make this together. Step 1, get my free snowman hat and face design. Just go to my blog at jennifermaker.com/358 and look for libraries in the red bar at the top, and then either click get a password if you don't yet have one, or click enter the library. And once you're in the library, you can search the page for design number 358, and then you can click the link here to download an SVG cut file for cutting on a Cricut or another cutting machine, a DXF file, and a PDF file for printing and cutting by hand. Step 2, prep your glass bowls. If we just put lights in this right now, it wouldn't look very amazing. And these lights came from the Dollar Tree store. It's important that you use LED lights. Do not use, don't use this kind. I also found these at the dollar store. Don't use these. These are not LEDs. They will generate heat. You don't want a bunch of heat in this enclosed space, just to be on the safe side. LEDs, on the other hand, generate virtually no infrared heat, so they're safe to use inside. All right, so I've already put batteries into these. I do want to note that these battery packs that come from the dollar store, they require one of those teeny tiny little screwdrivers. So yeah. But I already did it for us, so I'm going to turn it on so you can see the not amazingness of it. So so we can see all the lights in there. It doesn't look particularly good to me. It just looks like a glass with lights in it. So what we need to do is diffuse the light in some way so that it glows rather than looks like a glass bowl with lights in it. Okay, so I tested a bunch of different ways to diffuse these bowls, so you can choose the method that works best for you. All right, so the frosted glass is one option to diffuse the light. Then the Mod Podge with glitter is another option, and that goes inside the glass bowl. Then we can use fiberfill if we want, also diffuses light, or this decorative shred that I did find at Dollar Tree. So let me show you how to do. We'll start with the frosted glass, and I'm going to show you how to apply this onto our glass bowl. First of all, we need to go to a well-ventilated area. I'm outside and wearing gloves. So I just do small bursts of the spray. When it first goes on, it doesn't look like it's working. Don't let that worry you. Just let it dry, let it, for about an hour, and as it dries, you will see that it becomes cloudy, okay? You can certainly do more than one coat, but you want to make sure you do it in between. All right, and then I found that putting the globes, the bowls on these little glasses was really handy for drying them and holding them too.
So this is what they look like when they were all done. And they're really well diffused, I think. All right, so now how about glitter? So for this, we're going to use Dollar Tree glitter and Dollar Tree Mod Podge and a Dollar Tree brush. And I just brush the Mod Podge on the inside of the bowl. And just nice long strokes. You want to try to get it as even as possible, which is much easier said than done. And so you just brush it on the inside of the bowl, and you want to completely cover the inside of the bowl. Work fairly quickly. You don't want to do like one and set it down and walk away for 5 minutes and come back, because it's Mod Podge, which is a glue-based formula, and it will dry on you. So stay right there and put your glue, your Mod Podge glue, basically your Mod Podge, on the inside of your glass bowl and completely coat it. Make sure you get everything. It will look like this. You could use a foam brush, but you're only going to get it so even. It doesn't matter in the end. It's okay. So just do your best to get the whole thing coated with the Mod Podge, and don't forget to do the bottom as well. And then once you have that all coated, it is time to put the glitter in. Now I've put a piece of paper on my work surface, and that's going to make it easier to clean up. So just pour some glitter in and then swirl it around the inside of your glass bowl. I just sort of knock it around, but I'm trying to get every part that has Mod Podge coated, which is virtually the entire inside. So we just cover the whole thing, and then when we're ready, you can use the bowl to put the glitter back into, right? So just tap it back into the bowl, and that's what it looks like on the inside. It's very pretty. And then once you have all your glitter in there, you can get the glitter that's on your surface back into its spot by picking up that piece of paper that's below your work surface there, and then just letting it all fall back into your bowl. So those are the 4 ways that I tested, and I will show you what they each look like with the lights in them as well. So let's take a look at what each of these looks like. So here is the one that we did with the frosted glass. See, looks really nice. It's very classy. You could use this for so many things. This is the one that we did with the vinyl, the glitter. See how pretty this is? And now it's all very smooth. You totally can see it. In the video that you watched, it wasn't dry yet. So, but it looks really pretty, I think. Not everyone wants to work with glitter though. This is why I have options for you. This is what it looks like with fiberfill in it. So it looks fluffy, like a cloud. And take this hat off of this guy. This is what it looks like with a decorative shred in it. See, so all very different, all really cool. Now, let's see what they look like with our LED lights in it, so you can tell, because there will be differences, and that will help you decide too. So this is what the LED lights look at it. You can still see the pinpoints of light, but I think it's rather pretty, right? I don't know why it's sort of shining up. So you can still kind of see this. In person, it's not quite so bad as is on the video, but you can still see where the lights are. But I think it's like a pretty bokeh effect, which I think is pretty. Okay, so that's what that one looks like. Glitter, and you have to be a little cautious here because, while this is glittered on the inside, I'm sure if I were to, there's a little bit of glitter, see, on my finger. So it will still come off a little bit. That's why you don't want to put it on the outside. So this is what the glitter one looks like. So it's definitely more diffused. I think it's very pretty. That's probably my favorite. But, not everyone wants to work with glitter. So for the fiberfill one, what you would do is, and you can use I saw someone ask if you can use the LEDs with fiberfill. Yes, you can. LEDs aren't generating infrared heat, so it's safe. They're just little light diodes, right? So you would put them, you would kind of layer it in here like this, and it would give you this effect. I'm sure we could do a better job, but so little lighted fluffy cloud. And put that one back. And then for the decorative shred, they call it, which is a funny name, we would want to do the same. We could probably just kind of stuff that in there. Let's just stuff our lights in there. And we get this effect, right? So all really pretty, I think. And it really just depends on what supplies you can find, what you want to do, what you're comfortable working with, all that kind of thing. Step 3, cut your materials.
I'm going to show you how to make this on a Cricut cutting machine. So I'm going to go over to Cricut Design Space. So we click on Upload, Upload Image, Browse, and we're going to find our SVG file, which is right here. This is our SVG file. We want this, and we're going to click Open. And that uploads. Here's our hat, here's our faces, some buttons, and some little decorations. And I'm going to click on Upload. And then we select our file and choose Add to Canvas. So there we go. There is our snowman. And this part here is the hat. These are all parts of the hat. These are decorations for the hat. This is also like a sprig, a paper sprig. And then there's some faces and buttons to choose from. Now, when it first comes in, you may want to make it bigger or smaller so you can see it all on your screen. You just use these magnification buttons in the lower left corner. And I'm going to go ahead and save this right now. So just in case anything happens, we have it. So I'm going to call it Light Up Snowman by Jennifer Maker and save it. Always save your work early and often. All right, so here is our project. And now I recommend that you pick one of the faces. I'm going to do this middle face here. So I'm going to click on Ungroup at the top right to ungroup everything. Things just normally come in grouped. It's by default. So we click on Ungroup, and then I'm going to select the things I don't want and delete them. So I don't want this face or these buttons, so I will just click the big X over here. I could also click this delete button, or I could even press delete on my keyboard. And then I'm going to select this one, same thing, and delete this one. So I'm going to make this face, these buttons, and I'll make all the other things as well, okay? So if this is all you need to do, you are ready to go. There's nothing else. You're welcome to change colors right now if you want to, or make some new decorations or add some things, of course. You shouldn't have to resize anything if you're using the same glass bowls that I am. Even if you go a little smaller or a little bigger, these are probably fine too. All right, so this looks good to me. So I think I'm going to use a different face now that I think about it. I thought this face right here was super cute. I think I'll use this one. So let's get rid of those. Delete those, but I like the buttons in the middle. I like being able to mix and match things. So I'm going to use these buttons, and I think I want to use these eyes and this nose, but this mouth. So let me show you something right now. So if I don't want these eyes, the easiest way to get rid of them, first of all, I'm going to ungroup. Well, I don't even have to because it's all ready to go. Here's the mouth right here. And so that one's easy. This one, on the other hand, the eyes and the mouth are attached. So let's ungroup that one. So we have just this black layer right here. And then I'm going to click on Contour, and I'm going to get rid of this mouth just by clicking on it like this. So Contour lets us remove and add parts of a design. So I'm just going to remove the mouth, and I can tell it's removed because once I select it, it means it's hiding it, right? And then I close it, and you'll see the mouth is gone. So I think I am going to make this face and this nose because it's just cute. There we go. That's cute. All right, so I now can get rid of these then, so I'll delete those. And let's attach things back together. So we want to attach our black eyes and our black smile together. So I select both by holding down the Shift key. I can also select them here in the Layers panel, again by holding down the Shift key. And then I'll click Attach. And by clicking Attach, I'm keeping the items together so that when they cut, they're together, and it's they're not going to be in pieces where I have to like place them. It just makes it a little easier. But I'm not going to attach my buttons to my face because I'm putting the face on the top. Let me show you. I'm putting the face up on this one, and I'm putting the buttons on the bottom one. So it goes like this. So face up here and the buttons down here. So I don't want them to be attached because they're separate. So I won't attach them, but I will want to make sure that they're attached to each other. That's going to help. So let's click Attach. So I just select all three and attach them. Now all of my parts I want to stay together are attached. My nose is orange, so it's not, it's going to be separate. And I've got my buttons here. So that looks great. And none of my paper things need to be attached to each other. Now I do want to point out one thing, especially if you're designing something on your own. I have made this file so that right now the black top hat isn't really black. You'll notice it's a little bit lighter. It's like a gray. And I did this on purpose because we're cutting all of these things here on this side out of paper, and we're cutting our snowman and his buttons out of vinyl. So I don't want them to be the same color because I want them to be on different mats because they're different materials. So if you add anything to this, you're going to want it to be a little bit different, okay? A little different than, just like change the color. So if I go right up here to the color picker, you'll see I'm on this one. I'm not on this one. If I change it to this one, it would change to black. Everything up here are the colors I'm using. There's the red on the hat band, there's the orange on the nose, there's the green on the little sprigs and the holly, and then this is the black on the faces, right? So if I changed it right now, you'd see it changes. So I want to keep it this other color right here. There we go. Any questions about that? Because I want to make sure that that's clear. Okay, I see this is a good tip. All right, so now what I want to do is I'm going to teach you how to cut two colors on the same mat in this video, because we have this tiny little bit of orange and really a very small amount of black too. So it's going to be much faster for us just to cut it on the same mat, just a lot easier. So I'll be doing that. And what we want to do, and I'll show you when we get to that point. So, so we're going to cut the paper and we're going to cut the vinyl. And so just select your machine. I have my maker selected, but you can cut, let's see, can you cut this one on? Yes, you can cut this on the Joy. This is too big for the Joy, and this one's also too big for the Joy. So you need to cut these two. If you have a Joy, you have to cut these by hand. But everything else you can cut on the Joy, okay? All right, so I'm going to click on Make It in the upper right corner, and that will take me to my prepare screen. So here we have our black paper. It's really dark gray, but there's our paper layer. Here's our vinyl layers. You see how they're not on the same mat. That's important because they're slightly different colors. Here is our orange layer with his tiny little nose. Here's our green layer, and here's our red layer. Now, I'm going to show you how to cut the orange and the black vinyl on the same mat. To do this, I'm going to go to the orange mat. I'm going to click on this 3 dots icon in the upper left corner of the item, of the object, right? So we click on that, and it gives us the option to move the object or hide it. We want to move it. So I'm going to click Move Object, and I'm going to move it to the black mat. So that's this black mat, the vinyl black mat, and click Confirm. And now it's over there and it's changed to black. Do not let that alarm you. And what we're going to do is slide it all the way over here to the far right corner. It doesn't matter which corner you're putting in so long as it's separated from your black. Because what we're going to do is we're going to put a piece of black vinyl here that's large enough. It needs to be at least 3.5 by 3.5 to fit on here. And then we're going to put a little piece of orange vinyl in this corner of the mat. And it's going to cut out this one and this one and the respective colors. So what's important is that you know where you put your colors. That's the part that matters. Okay, so this will be the black corner. Upper left is black and upper right is orange. So I click Continue, and I'm using the maker. And this mat is still selected because we were working with it. Whatever mat you were preparing is the one that will be active when you go to your Make It screen. So let's choose our material. So we want vinyl. So I'll just type in vinyl under Browse All Materials and look for premium vinyl. That's what we want. And click Done. And then, as always, I just give it a little extra pressure because I like to do that, and I think it helps us have a cleaner cut. So don't forget to take off your protective cover on your mat. And I say that for all of my beginners. I always have lots of beginners, and I care about you. All right, so we are doing 2 colors, at a time, right? So remember, I said black in the upper left corner. Now, I don't know if this piece is big enough. I said 3.5, didn't I? This piece does not. Let's flip this around so I can see. This piece is not. This is 3.5. This is, sorry, 3 inches. This is 3. Let me check. Now, remember, you can check to see what size your pieces are by just going back to Cricut Design Space, and you just want to hover over your mat. Just, you're not clicking it, you're just hovering over it. And it says that it is 3 inches long by 3.5. So I think that this piece of vinyl would just work. Might be a little risky. Okay, so when I have this happen, this is what I do. So the cut does not start at the very edge of the very edge of the grid. It's actually like 1/8 of an inch in. So when I think I'm really tight on my materials, I bring it down. Do you see how I'm doing that? So I don't have it up here like this. I have it down like this. And then I'm more likely to get, and I can bring this side over. I can do it like this. So I'm just going to bring it down a little bit to make sure that I get my buttons in there. I don't want my buttons getting cropped up. That might still happen. I guess we're just going to take the chance to see. One of the top edge is not quite as even as I would like it to be. All right, I'm going to do it like this. There. Do you think I can do this? Should we take bets on Should we take bets on if it's going to work or not? I'm going to live on the edge today, and we're just going to try anyways. All right. And then up here we put our orange piece of vinyl. Okay. So make sure everything is nice and smooth. Right. So there's our black piece, and there's our orange piece. So this is a great way, like you could do this. I have filled up my mat before. It does take extra time, and you do run the risk of, not quite getting it right. But hey, it can be kind of fun. It's like a little game. So I do it, and I got more black vinyl if we mess it up. So it will work. Terry says it'll work. Okay, awesome. All right, so let's switch over to this view. Let's move some of these things here. All right, that looks good. All right, so I have my vinyl layer selected in Cricut Design Space. So I'm going to insert my mat right under my guides, press it up against my rollers, press the load button, and we're going to cut it out. I've got my fine point blade in there. Everything looks great. Now press the flashing button to begin. And this will probably be pretty quick. Cricket chicken. That's funny, Judy. It's okay. If it turns out it's wrong, okay, whatever. I probably will even be fine if the little bottom of the button is cut off. I mean, he's going to have a scarf on. You're not even going to see his buttons, like, whatever. If you look closely at any of my crafts, you'll, all right, does anyone know Disney and the Contemporary Resort? Any Disney fans out there? So in the Contemporary Resort, there's a huge mural. I don't remember the artist's name. However, in this mural, it's on the wall, okay? There is like a 3-legged goat. It's there on purpose because the idea is that there is no art that is ever perfect. And by including a mistake on purpose, we are acknowledging that. Nothing is ever perfect in anything I ever do. And there have been times I have intentionally said, oh, I'm just going to make a mistake here, because by freeing myself up from the temptation to be perfect, I'm just a happier person. All right, so cut out. Let's see how we did, shall we? Let's see, the moment of truth. I'm going to hold this up. See, look at that. We did it. So there's our black layer, and there is our orange layer. I'm trying to get the light. You can see it there. We did it. All right. So let's go ahead and weed it now. So to weed, for anyone who doesn't know, we're just going to use our weeding tool, and I'm just going to poke a little bit here into the vinyl. The idea is to get just the vinyl up right there, and then we'll take it off, and I'll just use my finger, I think. So there's the buttons, and there is the mouth.
Ta-da, that was nice and easy. We just got to get the little thread marks out of the button. There we go. So there's our buttons and our face. So let's then get the orange up. Projects like this are also a great way to use scraps, of course. So there is our vinyl. We have our vinyl all cut. So I flip my mat over and to peel off my vinyl from my mat. I always recommend you do it this way. Save yourself a little sanity getting things off your mat. Here we go. And put our cover back onto our mat before we forget. Step 4, assemble your top hat. This is the hat top. This is the hat brim. This is the hat sides. And we're going to need some glue for this. Okay, so let's start with folding. So there's no score lines in this, and there doesn't need to be because of the way that it's designed and just physics. So all we're going to do is fold in these tabs like this, right? And they'll just fold on their own. They don't need to have scores to do it. So you're just folding them right in like this. So just right up at the, where the corner meets. So we're just going to fold them all in. This piece here will become the top of the hat. So we just fold that in like this, and then this is going to be the brim, which I know doesn't look like a brim, but we need pieces to glue into the inside of the hat. So again, we're going to do the same thing. These just get folded. So we just fold them back right at the point where each of the cuts meets the rest of the brim, just like this. And these little triangles here are the points at which we will glue our brim to the inside of our hat. Right? This hat, some of you may recognize this. In fact, here, let's see if I can do this. Does anyone recognize this? This is my profile picture on Facebook. So I made this top hat years ago when my blog was very young, and I was so proud of my hat, and I took a picture of it. I made a fascinator, and it has been my picture on Facebook ever since. I haven't changed it. There we go. Okay, so we have everything folded. So we need to glue the side of the hat to the top of the hat. So we're going to glue it all around onto the pieces that we folded in like this, but we're going to go slow so that we do a nice, careful job. Don't make a big mess with our glue, all that sort of thing. So I put glue on one tab at a time, and I just put a little glue just like this, and then I just start at one corner, one edge right here. I'll start right here and match up the top of the hat to the top of the side. So I'm feeling with the back of my finger, but you can see here that they're matched up. And I press down until, like, I don't know, 15 seconds before I move on to the next one. So cardstock, has some body to it, and it's kind of want to resist the bending. So we want to make sure that it's glued well so that our glue doesn't pop up. Okay, so you don't want to go too fast here. And then I'm just sort of bending them forward and gluing them like this. And I just move on to the next one, and I just sort of like a wheel. And I'm just making sure that I'm checking in the back that I'm not too high up or too far down. You can kind of see, that whether there's, down here, but it's harder to see up here if you're like, a quarter of an inch above the top of your hat. And even if you are, it's okay. So as long as I'm holding this down as I'm gluing it, it will come right into line for me without me accidentally bending it and putting a fold in the hat and then ruining the lovely lines of the hat. All right, so now we now have the top of our cylinder essentially. So I'm going to put glue on the side. Let's see, do this so you can see it. So I'm putting glue just at the edge here. Try to be neat as you can. Especially with black cardstock, you really want to avoid getting any glue on it. It will show. That's why I've also been super careful. So now we have the glue on there. So I'm going to set it onto my work surface, and you can't see, and I apologize for that, but what I'm doing is pressing down on here so I can get the curve in there. And making sure that my bottoms are matched up, and then pressing down.
So my hands are right in here pressing down on the seam while I wait for the glue to set. Now we need to put our brim on. So here's our brim with our little folded pieces, and I'm sure that you know what I'm going to do, but I will tell you anyway. So there it is. I put the hat on the top, and flip it over, and we need to glue all of our little bits down so it stays in position. So I will glue that down while we're talking. Now I do recommend that you identify the front of your hat. So here's your seam right here. So this would be the back. So what I'm going to do is kind of start in the front and make sure my front looks really nice. I don't really care that much what it looks like in the back. It's going to look fine, but I care more about the front. So I will start, let's see where the seam is. The seam is really good, actually. I did a good job. So I will start here in the front and make sure that I get the front looking as good as possible. So to glue these down, I just lift up on the flaps and hold it there in place. Make sure you can see that. And then I put just a little glue on the triangle like this, like that. And then I am going to just fold it down, make sure my brim is, seated down in there, and then hold it in place while the glue sets for just, like 10 seconds or whatever. Now, if you're like in a hurry, you don't really have to glue them all. Just, you can just glue a few of them. But like you probably want to glue like maybe at least a third of them. But I'm gonna glue most of them. All right, so here, that's good enough, I think. Here is our hat. Isn't it cute? Now, if you want, you can kind of, a lot of times in the old days, when they wore these hats, they would kind of curl their brims up a little bit like this. You can if you want to. The paper really won't want to stay in that shape. So what you would need to do is take a round surface and curve it around it. I could probably use this glue stick. So here's our seam, right? And then I'm just gonna use the side of the glue, the cylinder, right, to gently bend it up on the sides. Again, I want to avoid like folding the paper. So I'm just trying to train the paper up. And we use a surface like this because that's going to help us prevent it from bending, right? So there we go. I have bent up that one side there and do the same thing on the other side because I thought that looked cute. Here is our cute little top hat. By the way, they really do make super cute little hats. You can put them onto like headbands and you can have them for like New Year's Eve. Step 5, decorate your snowman. There's like so many ways that we could do it. So I did cut out the piece of red paper, and so we could simply glue this red paper around the brim like this, which looks really classy, right? Or we could take some ribbon. So here's the Dollar Tree ribbon. Wrap it around like this. That's super classy. I could also fold it in half and then wrap it around like this. Yeah, I like that too. So, and then of course we could also just use that felt that I found from the stocking. So this is that Dollar Tree stocking. So we could cut the felt off of this to make a brim, either the buffalo plaid side or this red side. And then here's that could just be felt, right? Like that. I think I'm going to, since this is a Dollar Tree project, I think I'm going to use the Dollar Tree ribbon. So, and I'm going to fold it. So 11.5 inches, and I'll cut it right here. Like that. And I'll use hot glue now because it'll be a little easier. So let's start by gluing this end together here. So I've got some hot glue and it's going to glue this in place just so it stays down. Okay, so I'm just going to fold that there like that. And I think I won't glue this part. I think just plain old pressure will keep it together. Wrap it around like this and glue. I'm just going to glue the ends in the back, I think. And I'm going to start right back here at the seam. So this is, if you can see that seam there, this is the seam right here. So there's our adorable top hat. This is gonna be a fancy snowman. The holly, fold this. So I'm just gonna use it to kind of like to train the paper up, and then I'm more likely to get a nice clean fold, right, like that. Now it looks a little bit more like a leaf now. Okay, there we go. So here are the two holly leaves. So here's the side. So what they would have done is they put them behind the hat band, right? So it would have been like this, and we could glue them in. I might not glue them in yet though, just because I like to position things and see whether I like them or not. You know, like where I want them to go, and then I can decide if that's what I want or not. And then if I do decide that that is right, we have some little berries that we could put on top like this. Do you like that? I think that looks really cute. It will be a very dapper snowman. Now, we need to put the snowman's face on, so we're going to do that. We need to cut a piece of transfer tape that is about the same size or slightly bigger than our vinyl. So I'll just do it like this. All right, so I'll take off the backing on the transfer tape. I'm going to have this big piece and I can put it right onto here, but I think I'll just do the nose first and put it right there in the center. Just pick it up like this. And I want to be careful because it's sticky and I don't have my parchment paper out. So I'm just taking off the backing there. And then I'm going to position this and I'm going to make my taco shape. I'm going to use my camera to get it straight. Normally I would put my head right over the top. There we go, that looks good right there. But when I make that taco shape, which is this U shape like this, right? It's going to help me put it down onto my vinyl smoother so that I'm avoiding wrinkles and stuff. But put your head right over it so you can get that nose in just the right spot. And then when it looks good, just press it down like this. And then you smooth from the center outward like that. So there we go. We have layered our vinyl nice and easy. And then we want to burnish it down. This should be nice and easy to weed though. And then we remove the backing. Well, let's first prepare our snowman globe. Okay, so this is glass. Whenever we put vinyl on glass, I recommend that we clean it so it'll stick better. So a little alcohol, just a little rubbing alcohol will help us. I recommend using a lint-free cloth for this, so it can be a blue shop towel or it can be a coffee filter. Did you know that coffee filters are lint-free? Give that a little wipe down. The alcohol will evaporate quickly. Now it's going to want to roll around on our surface, so let's get out our lint roller. I just want to keep it in position as I work. There we go. All right, so that's just a lint roller, right? And it's sticky, so it's going to help us. All right, so there we go. So there's our face. We have our bowl upside down. Okay, don't forget that part. And so now we make sure it's burnished well. And we're going to take the backing off of our transfer tape. If it doesn't transfer, see how the little eyelashes there aren't transferring? Eyebrows, they're more like bushy eyebrows. That's what I was thinking when I was making them this morning, was bushy eyebrows, not, but they could be eyelashes. You could take, so have you seen my glitter ornaments? You could take the eyelashes from those and use them. I'm thinking about adding those to this file. That side doesn't want to peel up very well. Let's try this side. So when you have this issue, so there's like little pieces aren't, like I usually just sort of nudge it with my finger like this to get it off and to stick onto the transfer tape, and then I keep going. So I know a lot of people struggle with this part. That's what I usually do. And then there's the nose, and there's the goofy little smile. I was working on that this morning too. I actually made this whole face this morning. The nose is just an oval. Not super fancy there. Okay. So, oh yes, now we're going to put this onto a curved surface. And this is a straight piece of plastic, so it's not going to want to, it's going to have a mind of its own and not go in the direction you want it to. It's going to be hard for it to curve. So I recommend that you cut little snips in your transfer tape. It's going to help the transfer tape bend with your vinyl. And it's going to go on smoother and straighter and just be a lot less headache. So I'm not cutting the vinyl. I'm just making these little snips around the edges. Okay. Okay, so I want to put, now remember, we're going to have a scarf here. Okay. The scarf is going to be at the join where our two pieces are meeting right here like this. Right. So you're not going to want it to be super low because then you wouldn't be able to see the face. So I recommend something like right about here. That looks cute, right? And then I spread from the center outward. And I allow the vinyl to go where it wants to go, right? So the transfer tape will not want to lay flat on this, so you're focusing on your vinyl. You want to allow your vinyl to go where it, just so you see how this bent right here? Let me show you up close so you can see. So right here, you see how this is bending? It's totally fine because we're concentrating on where our vinyl is going, not our transfer tape. It doesn't matter where our transfer tape goes. It just matters where our vinyl goes. So there is the nose. Smooth everything down. You can use a scraper, but I really just use my finger just to push everything down really well. We're going for as smooth as possible. Now, some of you might be tempted to like make big, fancy faces, or you could make a lot of things out of these. You could make like penguins and stuff. You want to avoid big chunks of vinyl that won't want to curve with your vinyl. So like this smile is really good because it's long and thin, and it'll be okay to curve, right? These eyes are great because they'll want to curve. But if you have like a giant circle, right? If our nose was a lot bigger, it wouldn't want to curve. You would get like a wrinkle in it, okay? And that might be okay with you, but it might not. So when you're ready, you're just going to peel off your transfer tape. It's going to come off in little pieces like this because we cut it. So don't worry about that. That, of course, does mean that this is not transfer tape that you're going to reuse. But it's a little tiny piece, right? So, yeah. For what we get out of it, I think it's worth it. There we go. Isn't that cute? So now our buttons are going to go on the bottom half of our snowman, and we want our snowman to rest on this flat part here. So remember, they go together like this, right? So we're going to put, we want to put this onto our surface, see if our lint roller will help us again. It might not work as well this time. There's less surface for it to hold on to. So that means that we should flip it around, doesn't it? So we'll put it down here, and there we go. Awesome. Okay, now take our alcohol, clean that glass surface so our vinyl sticks better. All right, so we just take off our transfer tape. Someone's asking about snowman faces. Yes, I have lots of faces of many things at my site. So you don't even have to use the ones in like this face or the ones I put in my file. I have these really cute faces from some glitter ornaments that I did a couple of weeks ago. That would be awesome. All right, I can see the static is going to want to pick that up. So I'm going to make my U. Set it down. Here we go. And burnish it. It should come up really easily. Sometimes curved I've noticed them, they can be really tough. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay. Got my vinyl. So there's their buttons. All right, so I have cleaned this. So let's take a look at what it's going to look like. So we want our buttons to be, remember we have to save room for the scarf. So we don't want them to be like right at the very top. We want to maybe probably center them in this section here. So put your head right over it so you can see what you're doing. And I won't do that. I will spare you the back of my head, but I'll use my camera. That looks good to me. Oh, that's so cute. All right, so, and then I didn't have to snip this because it's just a little strip. And we're just going right down over this. So it actually curves really well with with it. So let's just make sure everything is burnished down, and then we can take it off. There's one button, two buttons, and 3 buttons. There you go. Okay, now we need to get our lights in here. So there's our 2 pieces, and here is our hat. Step 6, assemble your light up snowman. All right, so our lights, here we go. Again, I am using Dollar Tree LED lights. I'm not using anything that's incandescent. I am not using this type of light. These are the kind of lights that will generate heat. We don't want to put the ones that generate heat in here because there's not going to be a place for it to escape. That doesn't seem safe to me. But if we use LED lights, they don't have very much infrared heat. They're not hot, right? So this is what we want to use. So there's a couple ways we could do this. We could just kind of shove everything in here like this, save some for the top like this, you know. However, I suspect that over time, they'll just kind of all migrate to the bottom. We do want to leave our charger coming out the back like this. And it's such a nice thin cord that it's not going to get in our way. So this is what it would look like if we did that. Isn't that cute? So we could, this is probably pretty good, but we could also, if we wanted, we could put some of that fiber fill in here and might diffuse the lights a little bit more and keep them in position, or some of that shredded stuff, or, you know, something that, because the lights will probably want to end up all at the bottom. So I'm going to put hot glue all around the rim, and then I'm going to set this on top and hope for the best. Okay, so here we go. And you know, since the scarf will be covering it, I'm not going to worry about, am I getting any glue on there? I'm not going to worry too much about making a giant mess because I'm more interested in getting these 2 items to stick together than I am, and glue is like so transparent anyways. It'll all blend together. It's a snowman, you know? Okay. But if any comes down the front, oh, that was inside. Okay, now let's put it on top right away and press down. So you can see what it looks like. See? It's going together really well. Oops. Oh, he's fine. I should have reminded you to make sure his buttons line up with his face, but we're good. I can see his nose is a little bit off center from his buttons, but it's okay. He's a snowman. Oh, this already feels like it's a solid in there. I'm going to kind of let my lights fall around a little bit so that it's lighting up more of the snowman. All right, and so this feels actually really stable. So the scarf. Oh, you know something? I forgot that I was going to put mittens on him. It's okay because they can come right around the sides like this, and that still looks super cute, doesn't it? So I'll just glue them in back there like this. It's probably better anyways that they be on the outside, not the inside getting in the way of my lights. And we want to put a scarf on. So I'm going to set this down so we can see. So as I mentioned, I took a Dollar Tree stocking, a felt stocking, and I just cut a strip from the back so that if I wanted to use this, I could. And I would just wrap it around. This was my idea. So wrap it around like this and then glue it in position. Like fold this here a little bit here and kind of bring it over a little bit so it doesn't cover too much of the buttons. That was my thought. So there's one way to do a scarf. We can also just use the same ribbon that we used for the hat and just, again, we could fold it like before and wrap it around this, which I think is pretty cute. He would be very color coordinated. Let me show you what that looks like. So, and we could tie it or glue it like this. That's really cute too, don't you think? So there's so many, there's like this is where you get to have fun and be creative. Lots of ways that you could do this. I also found these stickers at Dollar Tree. They're like jewel border stickers, and you could put these on there and for like a Mrs. Santa Claus, or maybe Mr. Santa Claus loves, oh sorry, Santa Claus, Mrs. Snowman,
Or, you know, something maybe Mr. Snowman loves jewels too. Just whatever. I don't care. It's all good to me. So yeah, accessorize. Have fun with this. I think for now, I will just cut off a little bit of this ribbon and just tie it around. Glue on my gloves. Although, honestly, I love the idea of having like some flexibility and maybe I could switch them up. So I think what I'll do is not even glue the gloves on. I'll just kind of tuck them in position. And I'm going to do it like this so we get the little thing at the bottom, right? The little dovetails. Do you see me do that? If not, let me do it again so you can see. To make those little dovetails, you just fold it in half and you just cut at an angle like this. It's so easy. If you've ever tried to do it any other way, this is the easy way to do it. Of course, you have to get that cut there. There we go. And then you have a dovetail. So I'll just tie this around my snowman and just like this. Oh, can't forget the mittens. So here's my mittens, right? Little mittens. Again, for anyone who wasn't here when I was explaining this, these are cut from that stocking too. And then I glued them on, before I started the video, I glued them on with a little piece of yarn, also from Dollar Tree. There we go. So maybe what I'll do, I do want to keep this so that it is, I can change it up later. So I'll probably have to adjust it a little bit. I'll let it drape like this for now. Okay. And I will put on, and I know you can't see, but it's going to be easier to tie when it's straight up and down like this. I'll show you in a second. Okay, so here is our snowman. Here is one of his little mittens. Let's tuck this over here like this. It probably will need some glue to stay in place. And another little mitten right here. Here is his, let's bring that in a little bit more. Maybe give it another knot so it stays nice and tight around his neck. Probably could have cut that longer, huh? It's fine. It's all fine. Let's smooth out his little bows, his little ends of his scarf here. It's so cute. All right, there's his little mittens, and then he just needs his hat. Okay, so the hat, now I could put it right on top of his hat head like this, and it will just rest there, but let's see how it looks. So his hat will just rest on top, but if you want to have like a jaunty angle, you'll want to glue it, right? So it could be off to the side, or it could be back like this, but you just want to put a little hot glue along probably put it on the back edge like this. Like, that's adorable, isn't it? Right? Here's the green one I made if you want to see what the green one looks like. This is also really cute. I'm probably going to make a couple of the other ones because they're just so cute. So don't be surprised if you see more later on. Jody says, can you tuck the battery pack under his hat? Yes, you can. There's the, I think you can. Let's see if it fits. Who said that? Jody, you are awesome, Jody. Now we don't even see it. Yes. So tuck the battery pack under his hat. That's a great idea. It fits right in there. It's perfect. It's awesome. Thank you so much for crafting along with me today. The snowman was so much fun to make, and I can't wait to put him on display. This next project hasn't been available publicly here on my channel before. This is the Christmas tree explosion box. It's part decor, part surprise, and such a showstopper to share. The best part is seeing someone's face light up when they open it. It is a handmade delight. The angel comes off and it all opens up and this lights up. It's so beautiful. I love this thing.
Step 1. Get my Christmas tree explosion box designs. First, download my design files at jennifermaker.com/671. You can either download right from that link by saving the project, or download from my entire free design collection. To find it, look for libraries in the red bar at the top, and then click either get a password if you don't yet have one, or click enter the library. Search the page for design number 671 and click the link to download the designs. If you're not sure how to do things like downloading, visit jennifermaker.com/svgs to learn how to download and unzip files. In the SVG folder, you'll find score and no score versions for both variations of my design to cut on a cutting machine, one with pockets inside and one without. There's also a DXF folder for those of you who have cutting machines that don't use SVG files, and a PDF folder with versions that you can cut by hand, no cutting machine required. So let me show you how to make this using Cricut Design Space. I'll demonstrate using the no score version to make the crease lines easier to see and fold on glitter cardstock. Step 2. Prepare and cut your Christmas tree design. On a blank Cricut Design Space canvas, click Upload and then Upload Image. Click Browse and select the SVG file of your choice. I'll pick the no score version with pockets so you can see how that all goes together. Click Continue and then click Upload to add the design to your canvas. Click Save and give your project a name so you can go back to it anytime you want. Now that our design is loaded and saved, select the whole design and click the Ungroup icon right here. I always recommend that you ungroup a design because they usually come in grouped. And I also suggest you click the minus sign in the lower left corner to zoom out and see everything on your canvas. The 6 triangles with tabs are the tree's outer panels, and the 6 without tabs are the inner panels. The 2 hexagons make the tree's base, and the 6 large tree outlines are the outer decorations. The smaller fan-shaped piece folds into the tree topper, and the 6 smaller outlines decorate the topper's outside. The 2 angel pieces and the 2 dress pieces go on the very top. The fan-shaped piece with circles folds into the lantern, and the gray fan-shaped piece is the lantern's optional diffuser. The 8-sided ring is the lantern's base. The remaining pieces are the 24 inner panel pockets and their 24 matching cards. I'll change my first outer panel from dark green to red. Since the decorative piece is on top, I'll click and drag that off to the side first. If you want to change the color of any shapes to match your cardstock, select the shape on the canvas and use the color box next to Operation to pick a new color option. Repeat this process for any other shapes that you'd like to recolor. I'll move all the decorative pieces, then alternate between green and red so I can use different paper patterns on the outside of my box. I'll make the inner panels alternate too. Once your colors are set, the project is ready to cut. Make sure the correct machine is selected in the top right and click Make. On the Prepare screen, make sure the correct material size is selected for your materials. I'm using 12 by 12 inch cardstock, but all of these pieces can also be cut on 8.5 by 11 inch cardstock. If you're using pattern cardstock that has words or an obvious up direction, make sure any pieces being cut from that material are oriented to their default upright position. For example, I'm using a pattern cardstock for these pocket pieces. I want them all to cut in their original orientation, so I'll need to adjust some of them. To rotate an image on a mat, click on it to select it, then use the rotation handle to adjust its orientation. If any object will not fit on a mat without overlapping other objects, select it and click the 3 dots to open the Object menu. Now, since this pocket piece is overlapping one of the panels, I'll open the menu and click Move Object. I'll click on New to create a mat with lots of space and choose bright green from the current colors to make sure my pieces match. I'll click Confirm and then move any other pieces I want to my new mat. Sometimes it just takes a bit of playing around. If you want to learn more about combining mats to save time and materials, follow the instructions in my Easter egg lantern tutorial at jennifermaker.com/3D Easter egg lantern. Once you're satisfied with your mat layouts, select the first mat again so it will load first on the next page and click Continue. Now let's set our mat's base materials. The first mat is white for the solid cardstock pieces.
I'll use medium cardstock 80-pound material setting for all of my regular cardstock, including the pattern cardstock. Click on Browse All Materials and search for Medium. Select the medium cardstock setting and click Done. The lantern ring base, the dress pieces, and the note cards will be cut from white cardstock. I'll switch to pattern cardstock for the outer panels, the inner panels, the tree base pieces, the tree topper piece, and the pocket pieces. But I'll keep my material settings the same. And I'll change my pressure to more as this results in cleaner cuts, in my experience at least. And I'll check the box next to Remember Material Settings to save time between mats of the same color. When you're all ready, place your cardstock face up on a green standard grip machine mat. And use a brayer to make sure it's fully adhered. Check that your premium fine-point blade is clean and in the clamp. And press the flashing load and unload button to load the prepared mat into your Cricut. And then press the flashing middle button to begin cutting. When it's finished cutting, don't unload your mat right away. Instead, gently lift a corner of the material to make sure the cuts went all the way through. If they did not, press that middle button again to make a second pass of cuts in the exact same spots. When the cuts are complete and everything has cut all the way through the cardstock, unload the mat, flip the mat over onto your work surface, and roll the mat back to release the cardstock without any curling, ripping, or tearing. You can use the spatula tool to help lift delicate parts, and your weeding tool to poke out small bits of cardstock that may have been left behind. If you have any issues with your cuts, go to jennifermaker.com/blades. If you're cutting the optional lantern diffuser, set your material to the vellum setting. I don't see vellum on my list, so I'll click Browse All Materials, then search for and select vellum. And I'll leave the pressure at default this time. Place the vellum on a blue light grip machine mat and brayer it down carefully. Then use the same steps to load, cut, and release your vellum diffuser. For the glitter cardstock mats, set your material to the glitter cardstock setting with more pressure. I'll use glitter cardstock for the panel decoration pieces, the tree topper decoration pieces, the angel pieces, and the inner lantern piece. And I'll click the box next to Remember Material Settings to save time between the glitter cardstock mats too. Place the glitter cardstock face up on a green standard grip machine mat and brayer it down really well. Now, since glitter can stick to the blade and cause trouble on your future cuts, I highly recommend cleaning your blade after each sheet of glitter cardstock. I'll clean my blade by taking a sheet of aluminum foil and balling it up. Then I'll remove the housing from its clamp, depress the plunger, and stick the blade in and out of the aluminum ball very carefully over and over. Or you can press down on the plunger and very carefully use an alcohol wipe to remove any glitter on your blade. Then repeat the steps to load, cut, and release your glitter cardstock pieces. Lay out your pieces face up in neat piles. For the tree, you should have 6 outer panels, 6 inner panels, 2 hexagon base pieces, one is slightly smaller, and 6 decorations. For the topper, you should have a topper piece, 6 small decorations, 2 angels, and 2 dress pieces. You should also have a lantern piece, a diffuser if you cut one, and an 8-sided ring for the lantern's base. If you cut out pieces for the pockets, you'll have one last pile with 6 of each small, medium, large, and extra large pocket pieces. You will also have 6 note cards of each size for a total of 24 pockets with 24 notes. If you're unsure about some pieces' orientation, refer to the Cricut Design Space screen to check. Step 3. Assemble your Christmas tree explosion box. Let's begin with the outer tree panel and base assembly. Place an outer tree panel face down and fold up the bottom tab along the crease line away from the pretty side. Run a scraper tool along the crease to sharpen the fold. Repeat for the 5 remaining outer panel pieces. Line up the pieces in order across the top of your workspace, tabs facing upward. I want mine to alternate colors, so I'll lay them out and then flip them. Now add the inner panels pretty side up on top of the outer panels. Apply a small amount of craft glue using a precision tip to the back of the first inner panel, just along the outer edge. Align the bottom edge of the inner panel flush against the crease of the first outer tree panel, making sure the top points also match. Press the two panel pieces together, back to back. Since we want our box to stand up on its own when closed, these double-layer panels will add just the sturdiness we need. You also want to be sure the points are sealed well because they will be subject to the most wear and tear. So if the glue didn't make it to the tip of the panel points, use the precision tip to apply a small bit more. Press the panels flat. Then repeat this process to reinforce the 5 remaining panels. Allow the glue to dry. Now let's flip over the glued panel pieces so the outer panels are face up and in order. Take one of the large panel decoration pieces and place it glitter side down on your work surface. Apply small dots of craft glue around the edge and along the lines of the decoration piece. Turn the piece over and center its bottom edge flush with the crease line of an outer panel, with the top point centered on the panel. Make sure the edges of the decoration don't overlap with the panels, or the explosion box won't open and close very well. Press down to adhere, smoothing as you go. If any glue seeps out, use a paper towel or a finger to dab it away. Repeat for the 5 remaining decorations and allow the glue to dry. Now take the larger of the 2 solid hexagon base pieces and place it pretty side down. Take your first panel and place it along one of the edges of the hexagon. The tab and inner panel should be face up. Apply a small amount of craft glue to the underside of the panel's tab. Align the crease line of the tab with one of the straight edges of the hexagon base. I like to slide the pieces together on my work surface to get them to match perfectly. Now fold the glued tab down onto the top of the base piece. I'll hold the panel and base in place and then push just the tab with my finger. Now I can use my hands to smooth down the tab and then press down and hold to adhere it. Once the glue is set, give the panel a quick fold test. When the panel is folded inward, the folded edge of the panel should be flush with the outer edge of the base. Take your next panel, I'll alternate colors, and attach it to the next side of the base. Repeat with the 4 remaining panels, attaching them in alternating colors as you work your way around the base. And allow the glue to dry completely. Next, we want to hide the tabs and reinforce the bottom base. So lay out the base piece and attach panels with the glued tabs facing upward. Take the second, slightly smaller hexagon base piece and apply craft glue around the edge on the side that you don't want to show. Align the smaller hexagon piece on top of the base pretty side up, all sides parallel with the larger hexagon, and centered so there is a thin border around the smaller hexagon. Test to see that your panels easily lift up and fall down. Press and hold the hexagon down to adhere it to the panel tabs. And now our base is done. Next up, the tree topper assembly. Place the tree topper face down and fold up along the crease lines, away from the side that you want to be facing outward. Run a scraper tool along the creases to sharpen the folds. Your tree topper now has 6 sides, and we can decorate these too. Take one of the small topper decorations and lay it glitter side down. Apply small dots of craft glue around the edges of the decoration piece. Turn the decoration piece over and center it along the bottom edge of the first section of the topper. The 2 bottom corners of the piece should touch the bottom edge of the tree topper, but the side edges should not be touching. Press down along all the sides to adhere it well. Repeat with the 5 remaining topper decorations and allow the glue to dry. Once dry, fold up the tree topper into a cone shape and use craft glue to adhere the seam tab to the inside of the topper. Press and hold from both sides to make sure the tab is fully adhered. Now let's set the topper aside to dry while we work on our adorable angel for the very top of the tree. Take one of the angel pieces and lay it glitter side down on your work surface. Apply a small amount of craft glue to just the head and wings of the back of the angel. Take the second angel piece and align it over the first, glitter side up. Press down to adhere the angels back to back, leaving the dress sections unattached. We'll let her dry while we work on the dress. Take one of the dress pieces and fold the 2 tabs along the crease lines so both tabs are facing inward. Since this is just regular solid cardstock, it doesn't matter which way we fold, just as long as both tabs are pointing in the same direction. Apply a small amount of craft glue to the outside of both tabs. On one side of the angel, slide the point of the dress piece between layers of the angel's dress, tabs facing inward, to hold the dress open at the edges. Use your fingers to pinch the dress piece tabs and hold them in place until dry. Then do the same for the other side of the angel's dress. Apply craft glue to the inside of the angel's dress between the tabs on both sides. Now place the angel onto the top of the tree topper and push down slightly. Press along the glued areas of the dress at the top of the tree topper and hold to set. And that's it for our tree topper. You can test it to see if it works. Fold up the panels of the tree and place it on top. Pop it off and the panels should fold down on their own. How neat is this? Now let's do the inner lantern assembly. We're going to build a centerpiece that will really wow when the panels are dropped down. Place the fan-shaped lantern piece glitter side down and fold up along the crease lines, away from the pretty side you want everyone to see when you lift off the topper. Run a scraper tool along the creases to sharpen the folds. If you're using a diffuser layer, flip the folded lantern piece pretty side down on your work surface. Find the edge of the lantern without the tab. Apply dots of craft glue to the first section of the lantern piece. Align the diffuser layer's straight edges along the straight edges of the cardstock. Press the vellum onto the glued section of the lantern and hold to set. Now place one hand on the glued section of the vellum. Then gently lift up on the unglued side of the vellum gently until the second section of the lantern is uncovered. Use a thumb to hold the vellum away from the second section. Apply craft glue to the second section. Press the vellum onto the second glued section of the lantern and hold to set. Repeat this process for the 6 remaining sections. Refold the lantern sections carefully to crease the vellum diffuser piece. Fold up the bottom tabs of the lantern away from the pretty side. Now plug in your hot glue gun and put on your finger protectors. Since craft glue doesn't work well with the glitter surface, we'll use hot glue to keep the cardstock adhered. Fold up the lantern into a cone shape and apply hot glue to the seam tab. Press the seam tab to the inside of the lantern. Keep the folded edge aligned with the lantern's straight edge. Then press and hold from both the inside and the outside to make sure the tab is fully adhered. If any seams pop open, carefully add hot glue and apply pressure to reseal them. Allow a few minutes for the hot glue to set. Hold the lantern upside down. Align the edges of the lantern base ring with the folded lantern tabs to ensure the lantern is shaped properly to fit on the base. Set the base ring close by. Now, still holding the lantern upside down, apply hot glue to the 2 adjacent tabs. Place the lantern base on top of the glued tabs, making sure the outside edges of the lantern and the base are aligned. Press firmly along the edges of the tabs to adhere them to the base. Working 2 at a time, use hot glue to adhere the 6 remaining tabs to the base, reinforcing the octagon shape as you go. Press once more around the edges to ensure an even seal. That's all the hot glue we need for the project, so you can turn off your hot glue gun and remove your finger protectors now. Now that the glue is set, hold the lantern upside down. Grab your hook and loop dots. Make sure you have both the smooth loop side and the rough, scratchy hook side for the 8 sets of dots. Peel a smooth loop dot off its carrier sheet. Adhere its sticky side to the center of one side of the lantern base. Repeat to place a loop dot in the center of the 7 remaining sides of the lantern base. Now switch to the scratchy hook dots. Peel a hook dot off of the carrier sheet and attach its sticky side up to one of the loop dots already on the lantern base. Repeat until all 8 loop dots on the base have been paired with a hook dot. Lay the tree base open on your work surface, inner panels face up. Center the lantern over the base and press down firmly to adhere the hook and loop dot adhesives to the tree base. Now gently lift the lantern to remove it. The loop dots should remain attached to the lantern, while the hook dots should remain attached to the base. If some pull up, a weeding tool can be used to hold the bottom one in place. Press the dots firmly in place on both the lantern and the tree base. Line up the hook and loop dots and press down to attach the lantern to the base. Fold up the tree panels around the lantern. Place the tree topper on top of the panels to keep the Christmas tree explosion box closed until you're ready to reveal the inside. I have 2 super fun variations that will both really bring the wow factor when you release the panels and reveal the inside of your box. The first variation are rhinestone decorations in a very light lantern. With your box open, arrange the rhinestones onto your first inner panel in a pattern of your choosing. Avoid placing rhinestones along crease lines and outer panel edges to keep them from interfering with opening and closing the tree. To do this, hold a rhinestone between 2 fingers while you apply a small dot of craft glue to its flat side. Then place the rhinestone glue side down onto your cardstock in your desired location. If you'd like, you can use tweezers to help. Press down to adhere the rhinestone to the cardstock. Continue gluing the rhinestones in place on your panel. And then repeat with the other 5 remaining panels until your pattern is complete. Next, give the fairy lights a quick test to make sure they power on. Then unroll them. And remember, only use the recommended LED lights from my list and never use a candle with an open flame inside. Remove the lantern from the base of the explosion box and then place the fairy lights and battery pack inside. Reattach the lantern base to the tree using the hook and loop dots. If the battery pack tries to escape, just push it back in and finish latching the lantern. Your Christmas tree explosion box is now ready to be used as a lovely light-up accent piece. You could also turn this into an advent calendar with pockets. Lay out the tree panel base flat on your work surface with the inner panels face up. Take one of the extra large pocket pieces, place it pretty side down, and fold up along the creases. Run a scraper tool along the creases to sharpen the folds. And add a small amount of craft glue to the outside of each tab. Align the uncurved bottom edge of the pocket piece flush with the bottom of an inner panel, and center it between the panel sides. Avoid covering the fold area. Press down on the edges of the pocket to adhere the tabs to the panel, and allow a few minutes for the glue to set. Use your finger to pull the pocket slightly away from the panel to create an opening for a note card. Slip one of the extra large note cards into the pocket. Next, take a large pocket, or the pocket one size down, and fold it along the creases like you did the first. Add a small amount of craft glue to the outside of each tab. Align the uncurved bottom edge of the large pocket piece flush with the bottom of the extra large pocket, and center it between the panel sides. The outside edges of the top pocket will slightly overlap the outside edges of the bottom pocket. Press down on the edges of the large pocket to adhere the tabs to the extra large pocket, and allow a few minutes for the glue to dry again. Use your finger to create an opening in the same way as before, and slip in one of the large note cards into the pocket. Repeat this process to add the medium pockets and then the small pockets. And don't forget to add the notes too. Repeat this entire process for the 5 remaining inner panels, adhering the pockets from largest to smallest. Your Christmas tree explosion box is ready to be used as an advent calendar now. Use the pockets and note cards for days 1 through 24, then hide a surprise in the middle for day 25. Step 4, show it off. Now you have an awesome explosion box shaped like a Christmas tree, with either a bright and shiny lantern or an advent calendar with pockets and note cards hidden inside.
Now let's set the table with something truly elegant, embroidered napkins that add a handmade touch to your holiday gatherings. This one is brand new to my channel too. These are simple stitches, but beautiful results. And it's a wonderful way to add meaning to the moments we share around the table. And these are heirlooms. You are going to want to keep these. They're just beautiful.
Step 1. Get my stick and stitch embroidery designs. First, download my designs at jennifermaker.com/672. You can either download right from that link by saving the project, or download from my entire free design collection. To find it, look for Libraries in the red bar at the top, and then click either Get a Password if you don't yet have one, or click Enter the library. Search the page for design number 672 and click the link to download the designs. The PNG folder contains versions of my designs that you can print, as well as color examples to help you plan your embroidery. In the SVG folder, you'll find versions of my designs to draw and cut on a cutting machine. There's also a DXF folder with cut files, and if you're not sure how to do all of this, visit jennifermaker.com/svgs to learn how to download and unzip files. There are 4 wintry embroidery designs already made for you: a bear, a bird, a fox, and a snowman. I'll teach you the 6 embroidery stitches needed to create these designs. I'll also show you how to embroider a napkin with the snowman design, which uses all of those stitches. For an overview of stitches and threads for each design, consult the embroidery stitch guide in the PDF folder. Step 2. Prepare your stick and stitch embroidery design. Method number 1. Prepare and print the design in Google Docs. To use my designs, open Google Docs in the Google Chrome web browser on your computer at jennifermaker.com/Google Docs. You can also download and open the Google Docs app on a mobile device, but you'll have limited access to features, so I don't recommend it on a mobile device. You will need a free Google account to use this software. If you don't have one, visit jennifermaker.com/Google Docs for help setting one up. Click Blank Document to open a new document. Click File, then select Page Setup. Make sure orientation is set to Portrait, then change all margins to 0. Change the paper size to 8.5 by 11 inches to match your stick and stitch, then click OK. Next, click on Insert, select Image, and then Upload from Computer. Select the PNG you want to print. I'll pick the Line Art Snowman, which uses less ink than the full color one. Click Open to insert it. Click Untitled Document at the top and enter a file name. To resize the image, click it and then click Image Options. Select Size and Rotation. Keep the Lock Aspect Ratio box checked to maintain proportions. Change the width field to the size you want your design to be. I have a 6-inch embroidery hoop, so I'll type 4.125 to make sure my design fits and has extra space around it. It automatically rounds up to 4.13, and the height adjusts to match it. Click the wrap text icon below the image. Then drag the image away from the margins to make sure it prints completely. Click on File and then Print. Select your printer under Destination. Then click the arrow beside More Settings and select Print Using System dialog. Your print menu may look different than mine, but make sure the correct printer is selected, that flip horizontally is turned off, and that paper quality is set to the lowest quality possible. My lowest is normal, but if you have draft or fast options, you can choose those instead. If possible, set your paper source to rear paper feed slot for loading the stick and stitch paper, which tends to curl and can be difficult to use in the default feed tray. Load the stick and stitch according to your printer's instructions, so the image prints on the paper's textured side. Then click Print. Use scissors to cut out your design, leaving a 1/4 inch margin around the print. Method number 2. Prepare and cut your SVG in Cricut Design Space. If you want to have your Cricut draw the design in Cricut Design Space, you can do this. Just start by opening a blank canvas. Click Upload and then Upload Image. Click Browse. Select the SVG file of your choice. I'll pick the snowman design. Click Continue. Click Upload to add the design to your canvas. and click Save to give your project a name. Click the Ungroup icon to separate the two layers, one with your design and one with your cut shape. I always suggest ungrouping the designs because they come in grouped. In the Layers panel, select the Design layer. Click Operation at the top and select Pen to draw this layer. The default fine point pen in black shows in the color box, so I'll just keep that setting. Now drag a bounding box around the draw design and the cut shape. Click the Attach icon to keep these operations together. Make sure the correct machine is selected in the top right and click Make. On the Prepare screen, choose 8.5 by 11 inches for the material size to match your stick and stitch. On the Make screen, set the mat's base material. I used medium cardstock and more pressure with consistent results. Place your stick and stitch textured side up on a blue light grip machine mat. Use a brayer to make sure it's fully adhered. And follow the screen prompts to prepare your machine and tools. Check that your fine point pen is in the clamp. Remove the pen's cap and put it on the back so you don't lose it. And test it on scrap material to make sure the pen flows well first. Check that your premium fine point blade is clean and in the clamp. And then press the flashing middle button to begin drawing. The design will draw first and then make the cut. When the cut finishes, don't unload the mat right away. Gently lift a corner of the material to make sure the cut went all the way through. If it didn't, press the Go button again to make a second pass in the same spot. If you have any issues with your cut, go to jennifermaker.com/cleanercuts. When the operations are complete, unload the mat, flip your mat over onto your work surface, and roll the mat back to release the stick and stitch. Step 3. Learn your embroidery basics. We'll begin by preparing your hoop and needle. There are 6 simple stitches used in these designs. If you're new to embroidery, I recommend practicing on scrap fabric first. I'll demonstrate the stitches, then show you how to embroider your napkins. Some stitches do build on skills from others, so try them in the order I'm presenting them. First, loosen the bolt at the top of your embroidery hoop and remove the inner hoop. Slide the inner hoop under your scrap fabric. Then slide the outer hoop into the inner hoop, trapping the material between them. Hold the fabric taut and twist the bolt to close the outer hoop. Your fabric should lay flat without stretching. Loosen the bolt, adjust the fabric, and retighten the bolt if needed to get the tension just right. To prepare your needle, cut a piece of embroidery thread to 36 inches. We'll cut all of our thread to this length. We'll use all 6 strands, so use a needle with a large enough eye. Push a threader through the needle's eye, insert the thread through the loop, and then pull the threader back out. Tie a knot 3 inches from the end of the longer thread. Then bring the needle up through the fabric where you want to start your stitch, keeping your fingers safely out of the way. Pull the thread until the knot catches against the fabric. Now let's practice your embroidery stitches. First, the straight stitch. To sew a straight stitch, prepare your needle and send it up through the fabric. Then send the needle down in another location, making a straight line. Nice and simple, right? You can make long or short stitches in any direction. Next, the fishbone stitch. To embroider a fishbone stitch for leaves, first draw a simple leaf on your scrap fabric, then a larger one right beside it. Prepare your needle and send it up the tip of the small leaf. Then embroider a straight stitch from the tip down to the middle of the leaf to establish its center line. Then embroider a straight stitch from the left side of the leaf's tip on the guideline to just above the center line. Now embroider a straight stitch from the right side of the leaf's tip on the guideline to just above the center line. The left and right stitches should be directly across from each other on the opposite sides of the center thread. Continue alternating straight stitches along the guideline on the left and right sides. Each stitch will extend the center line. When your center line gets to the leaf's bottom, send your needle down the bottom hole as many times as needed. Keep stitching until the leaf is completely filled. For the larger leaves, embroider your center line 1/3 of the way down from the tip, then stitch as usual. Now let's do the French knot stitch. To embroider a French knot, first draw a small circle on your scrap fabric. Prepare your needle, then bring it through the center of your circle. Pull the thread to the side of the circle in a straight line. Now hold the needle over the top part of the thread line, then wrap the thread around the needle once. Hold the thread snug and send the needle down through the fabric right beside your first hole, keeping the thread taut to avoid tangles. If you send the needle down the first hole again, the thread will go through instead of knotting, so make sure to use a different hole. Now let's do the chain stitch. To embroider chain stitches, first draw a semicircle on your scrap fabric. Prepare your needle, then bring it up the left end of the semicircle. Then send your needle down the hole you just made. Pull the thread until only a loop remains on top of your fabric. Then bring your needle back up along the semicircle about 1/4 inch from your original hole and slide it through the loop. Pull your needle through the loop until a small chain stitch rests against the cloth. Don't pull too much or you'll lose the rounded shape. To form the next chain link, send your needle down your last hole, pulling the thread until a new loop forms. Follow your practice line to stitch even 1/4 inch chain links. When you get to the end of your chain, secure the final loop in place with a small straight stitch. Now the split stitch. To embroider a split stitch, prepare your needle. Then send your needle up the fabric and embroider a short straight stitch. Bring your needle up through the center of the stitch, splitting the threads as your needle passes through. Send your needle down through the fabric a short distance from your first stitch. Then bring the needle up through the center of the stitch you just made, splitting the threads of that stitch. Continue sending the needle down the fabric and up the center, embroidering split stitches to create line details. And finally, the satin stitch. To embroider satin stitches, first draw a practice shape on your scrap fabric. I'll draw a 1/2 inch square, but the satin stitch can be used to fill in almost any shape or size. Prepare your needle with a knot tied 3 inches from the end. Make a straight stitch from your shape's bottom center to its top center to establish a vertical stitching angle. Keep the stitches taut but without bunching the fabric. The first stitch is used to divide the shape in half along the angle that you want your stitches to follow, so you can use different angles to create different textures. Embroider a parallel satin stitch immediately to one side of the shape's center line, passing the needle through the guidelines. Continue embroidering parallel satin stitches until the first half is completely filled. Keep your stitches close together to prevent gaps. As you stitch, keep the long thread tail against the back of your fabric so the stitches secure it. Then use satin stitches to fill the other half, working from the center outward, following the guidelines. Now let's practice your finishing techniques. There are a few ways to finish stitches and hide excess thread on the back of your project. Loose threads from stitches that are very close together can be tied in a double knot and then trimmed. For threads that are by themselves, just run your needle under existing stitches until the thread is secure, then trim away excess thread. This is my personal favorite way. Sometimes you'll have to rethread the needle, but that's okay. Just use your threader, then secure and trim away excess thread. If your thread is already secured behind stitches, trim the excess thread away as close to the existing stitches as possible without cutting them. Step 4. Embroider your napkin with your stick and stitch design. First, let's apply the stick and stitch decal to your napkin. When you're ready to stitch your project, set the temperature of your household iron to best match your napkin fabric. I use the blends of cotton setting on my iron for my napkin since it is a cotton and polyester blend. Make sure your heat-safe surface is clean and ready to use. I'm just going to use my Cricut pressing pad. Lay your napkin on your heat-safe surface with the side you want to embroider face up. Use a lint roller to make sure your napkin is free of any dust or debris. Decide where you want your design to be stitched. I want mine centered near the bottom, so I'm going to flip my napkin over, then fold it in half, keeping the top face. I'll use my iron to press a crease along the fold, then unfold and lay the napkin flat, smoothing the crease down slightly. Position your stick and stitch decal face up on the napkin, aligning the decal center with the napkin's crease. Use your measuring tape to make sure the decal's edge is at least an inch from the napkin seam. Keep it in place as a guide. Peel the backing from the decal, then place it sticky side down on the napkin. Smooth it flat to adhere it well. Now let's embroider the snowman design. Start by securing the napkin inside the hoop, with the hoop's bolt aligned with the top of your design. To embroider the leaves, embroider fishbone stitches just the way we practiced. Prepare your needle with green embroidery thread with a knot 3 inches from the end. Embroider a single straight stitch from the point where the leaf stem meets the wreath to where the stem meets the leaf. Then fill in the leaf using the fishbone stitch. Start at the tip of the leaf and alternate the stitches as you extend the center line. And then we'll do the same for the remaining leaves. When your thread runs low, flip the project over and finish your leaves the way I showed you. Then thread another length of green onto your needle and resume your fishbone stitching. Finish off your thread once the leaves are complete. Next, prepare your needle with dark red embroidery thread. Come up through the back of the fabric and stitch a French knot in the bottom berry of the first cluster. Send your needle back down closer to the center of the cluster for a fuller look. Then stitch French knots for the other 2 berries the same way. Stitch a final French knot in the center of the cluster for additional dimension. Then tie off and trim the ends in the back to finish your berry cluster just like I showed you. Using the remaining dark red thread, embroider French knots for the rest of the berry clusters. To chain stitch the wreath, prepare your needle with brown embroidery thread. Starting at the very left end of the wreath guideline, embroider a series of 1/4-inch chain stitches along the curve. Then finish your chain stitches just like we practiced. To embroider the arms, prepare your needle with the remaining brown thread. Staying between the guidelines, embroider long and short straight stitches to form the shape of a left arm. I'll place these stitches a bit randomly to add texture, working from the body to the fingers. Then do the same for the right arm. To finish the arms, flip your project over and weave your needle under existing stitches to secure the thread. Then trim away the excess from both ends. To embroider the face details, prepare your needle with black embroidery thread and tie a knot 3 inches from the longer end. Bring your needle up from the corner of the left eye and embroider split stitches between the guidelines to form the eye's shape. At the opposite corner of the eye, push your needle down the end and then come up the center and split the thread as usual. Then send your needle down through the end again. Repeat this process to embroider the right eye, the right side of the mouth, the middle line of the mouth, and the left side of the mouth. Finish the face details using the finishing technique I showed you for split stitches. Next, use satin stitches to fill in the solid shapes of your design. I'll use black thread and vertical stitches for the top and bottom of the hat. Orange vertical stitches for the nose, light red horizontal stitches for the middle of the hat, and light red angled stitches for the 4 areas of the scarf. To fill in the face, prepare your needle with white embroidery thread. Bring your needle up the bottom center of the face area, then send it back down just below the mouth. Bring your needle up just above the other side of the mouth detail, and then back down at the corner of the eye. Then bring your needle up the other side of the eye and then back down just below the hat brim. Hold the tail's thread against the fabric so your next stitches secure it. Bring your needle up just right of the first satin stitch on the face, then send the needle back down just below the mouth. Continue stitching the right side of the face, working bottom to top, sending your needle under each of the face details as you get to them. Once the right side is filled in, embroider the left side the same way. Then complete your snowman's face using the finishing technique we learned for satin stitches. And now your stitching is done. Now let me show you the bear design. Use the stitches and finishing techniques you learned to embroider the bear. Use green fishbone stitches, dark red French knots, and brown chain stitches to embroider the wreath. Use black split stitches to create the bear's face details. Then embroider vertical satin stitches to fill in the nose, the snout, and the face. Use black thread for the nose, gray thread for the snout, and white thread for the face. For the ears, embroider angled stitches toward the inside, using white thread for the outer ears and gray thread for the inner ears. Isn't this just amazing? Now let me show you the bird design. Use the stitches and finishing techniques that you learned to embroider the bird too. I recommend that you use green fishbone stitches, dark red French knots, and brown chain stitches to embroider the wreath, just like before. Add light red split stitches to create the bird's eye, and use orange split stitches for the beak detail. Use black straight stitches to add the feet. Then embroider satin stitches to fill in the empty areas. Use orange thread and angled stitches for the beak, black thread and vertical stitches for the face, and light red angled stitches for the head and belly. Fill in the body and wings with dark red satin stitches, using varying angles to create texture between the sections. How about the fox? So again, you'll want to use the stitches and finishing techniques that you've learned to embroider the fox. Like before, we'll use green fishbone stitches, dark red French knots, and brown chain stitches to embroider the wreath. Add black split stitches to create the fox's face details. Use white thread and vertical stitches for the lower face, then white thread and angled stitches for the inner ear areas. For the upper face area, use orange thread to embroider vertical satin stitches down the center of the forehead. Then angle the stitches toward the center for the left and right sides. Step 5. Finish your embroidered napkin. First, we're going to remove the stick and stitch guide. Loosen the bolt at the top of your embroidery hoop and remove your napkin. Use scissors to trim away the excess stick and stitch material. Be careful not to cut your stitches. Remove any stick and stitch by submerging your project in warm water. Gently rub the fabric together to encourage the stick and stitch fabric to release. Rinse thoroughly to wash any ink along with the stick and stitch. Carefully smooth out any misaligned threads, especially in the satin stitched areas. Line dry or lay flat on a drying rack. Apply stabilizer to cover back stitches. Set the temperature of your household iron to 270 degrees Fahrenheit or 132 degrees Celsius, or the wool setting. Place the inner piece of your embroidery hoop on top of the stabilizer material and trace the inside circle with a pen. Then use scissors to cut the stabilizer along the inside of the drawn circle, making sure there are no pen marks on the final cut piece. Make sure your heat-safe surface is clean and ready to use, then lay your napkin on top, embroidered side down. Place the stabilizer over the back stitches, coarse side down. Check that the stabilizer doesn't cover any seams. Trim if necessary. And use your iron to press the stabilizer for 15 seconds until it fuses to your fabric. Step 6. Show it off. You now have an impressive hand-embroidered wintry napkin to show off this holiday season. You are going to impress everyone who sees these.
To wrap up, we'll craft a sweet tabletop tree. This is an impressive yet charming way to DIY a vintage style tree. It is small enough for any space, but it brings a big holiday spirit. And when you're done, you'll have a piece that feels straight out of a storybook Christmas. This tree was designed by my brilliant daughter, Alexa. Now it takes a little longer to put together, but it is well worth the effort. And the tutorial is new to our channel as well.
Step 1. Get my free tabletop Christmas tree design. First, download my free designs at jennifermaker.com/527. You can either download right from that link by saving the project or download from my entire free design collection. To find it, look for libraries in the red bar at the top, then click either get a password if you don't yet have one, or click enter the library. Search the page for design number 527 and click the link to download the design. Unzip the file, and in the folder, you'll find SVG, DXF, and PDF files that you can cut by hand, but they're much easier to cut on a cutting machine. I'm using the Cricut Maker 3 for this workshop, but you can also use an original Cricut Maker, any Cricut Explorer series machines, or the Cricut Venture for this project. I've included a version with score lines that you can cut using a scoring wheel or stylus, and a version with dash cut lines that only needs the fine point blade, no scoring tool needed. The scored version has score tool or stylus in the file name, and the dashed cut line version has no score tool needed in the file name. In this workshop, I'll show you how to make the file with score lines. I've also included a handy reference sheet to help you identify all the different pieces. It's located in the PDF folder. In Cricut Design Space, upload the SVG file and add it to your canvas. If you're not sure how to upload, go to jennifermaker.com/svgs to learn how to unzip and upload SVG files. Step 2. Prepare your tabletop Christmas tree for cutting. As you can see, there are a lot of pieces, so click the minus sign to zoom out and see them all. The design is set up to make one 3D tree approximately 16.5 inches tall by 9.5 inches wide or deep. I really do not recommend resizing it because the holes are very precisely sized for the lights and bulbs from my materials list. If you make the tree larger or smaller, the lights won't fit, just so you know. The white pieces at the top are the main tree pieces. There are 19 of them altogether. The yellow pieces at the bottom are the accent pieces. The 7 largest ones are reinforcement pieces for the base of the tree. And the 96 small pieces are branch accents, and they're optional. You'll notice that the white pieces all have numbers on the tabs. These will tell us how to correctly assemble the tree later. But how do the numbers get on the tabs? We're going to have our Cricut write them for us. So let's get all set up and click the Ungroup button up at the top. You should see 8 groups of white layers in the Layers panel. In each of those groups, the top layer are the labels, the second layer will be the score lines that make all the creases, and the bottom layer is the base layer that will be cut. So we need to get all these things set. To begin, in the Layers panel, click on the first label layer, then go to Operation and choose Pen. Do this for all label layers in all 8 groups. Remember, they're the top layers of each of those group sections. There are 15 layers that will make the creases with the scoring tool or scoring wheel. 8 are the middle layers in the white tree groups, and 7 are the top layers in the yellow accent groups. Starting at the bottom of the Layers panel, hold your Shift key while clicking on each of these crease score layers. Make sure the color swatch in your top menu is red because that means you've only selected the layers that I created to turn into scores. With the correct layers selected, change the operation at the top from Basic Cut to Score. The lines are now dashed to indicate the machine will score instead of cut them. In the Layers panel, click the top group and then click Attach to keep the pen, score, and basic cut layers together. The newly attached layers will jump to the top of the Layers panel. Now repeat this for the other groups. When you've finished, you will have 8 white groups, each with 3 attached layers. and 7 yellow groups with 2 attached layers. You will also have 4 separate yellow accent layers that are just basic cuts. The tree design is now ready to cut. Step 3, cut your tabletop Christmas tree pieces. Check that the right machine is listed in the top right corner, then click Make It. On the Prepare screen, review your mats. If there's a mat with just pen marks, then go back and make sure everything is attached correctly. You should see 8 white mats and 3 yellow ones. If everything looks good, like you see on my screen, click back on the first mat and then click Continue. Select the medium cardstock setting for the white mats and check the Remember Material Settings box to save yourself some time. Change the pressure to More for cleaner cuts. Under Load Tools and Materials, it likely says something like to load single scoring wheel in Clamp B. If you're using the scoring wheel, just leave this be. If you're using the scoring stylus like I am in this video, click Edit Tools, select Scoring Stylus, and click Apply. And if you're using textured cardstock for the tree as I am, be sure to place it with the texture side down on a green standard grip machine mat. This way the labels will be hidden on the inside. Now use a brayer to make sure that your cardstock is fully adhered for the best cut, and check that your fine point blade is clean and in your clamp. And load the scoring stylus into Clamp A. Load the mat into the machine and press the flashing button to begin cutting. When you're prompted, test a light-colored pen on scrap paper and then insert it into the clamp. Put the cap back on the top of the pen so you don't lose it. When the cut is all finished, unload the mat, flip it over onto your work surface, and gently roll it back to release the cardstock. This helps prevent the material from curling or ripping. Using the PDF for reference, stack the finished pieces according to their type, top, middle, and bottom of the tree. Repeat for the remaining white layers. Here's what my cut tree pieces look like in their groups. If you're using the thick gold glitter cardstock for the accents, select the heavy cardstock setting with more pressure for the first yellow mat, and check the Remember Material Settings box again. Since we're not running on these pieces, you can place your glitter cardstock face up on your green standard grip machine mat and use a brayer to make sure it's fully adhered. With a clean fine point blade in your clamp and your scoring stylus in Clamp A, load the mat into the machine and press the flashing button to cut. Now before unloading your mat, check to make sure the piece is cut all the way through. If they didn't, press that middle button to cut it again. I found that 2 passes gave me really nice clean cuts. When it's all done, unload the mat, flip it over onto your work surface, and peel the mat away from the cardstock. You can use a spatula tool to help release small, delicate pieces from your mat without curling or tearing them. The small accents are grouped by size, so keep them together as they come off the mat. There are 12 each of 8 different sizes. Here's what my cut pieces for the gold accents look like. Step 4, fold and crease your cut pieces. It really helps to work in a well-lit area for this project because of all the small details. You should have 7 white pieces for the tree's top. Their labels start with A, and they are pieces A through G in the reference PDF. Most of the 6 middle pieces start with B. They're pieces H through M. And the 6 bottom pieces mostly start with C. They're pieces N through S. Then you'll have 7 gold base reinforcement pieces, T and U. And finally, you'll have 96 gold branch accents sorted by size. Those are pieces V through CC. Set them aside for now. Hold a white bottom piece and fold all of the remaining pieces on the score lines. Most folds will be valley folds or fold-ins like this. But some of the folds will be mountain folds or fold-outs, which are indicated by these 2 arrow symbols. To fold the pieces, press your fingernail or a scraper tool against the score line and fold the section in or out against itself. If you want crisper folds, use your scraper tool to crease them. Fold the base reinforcement pieces too. Here's what all the pieces of the tabletop Christmas tree look like after being folded. Step 5. Attach and assemble your tabletop Christmas tree. Assemble main tree pieces. I find it easiest to assemble each section of the tree separately, starting with the top, pieces A through G, and then the middle, H through M, and finally the bottom, N through S. So find piece A and look for label A1. Across from it is another number A1. Every label on the tree has a matching counterpoint like this, and matching them up is how we'll glue everything correctly. Add a bit of high-quality craft glue to the A1 shape on the left. Then line up the other A1 diamond on top of the glue and press it in place, making sure the edges and creases line up. The rest of the matching pieces go together a bit differently. Look at the A2 tab attached to the glued section. The next two tabs don't have labels, but that just means they'll automatically match up when the other A2 tab joins the first. Apply a small amount of glue to the textured side of the left two tabs, then line them up to adhere to the right hand matches. Pinch them together from the inside. Look at the joint from the outside to make sure the edges are flush and lined up nicely before the glue dries. Now glue the two A3 tabs together, followed by their adjacent blank tabs. Repeat this process with the other sets of tabs until you finish with the A7 tabs. When you're finished, you should have a rough cone shape. Now grab piece B, which has the matching A8 tab. Don't work on the A8 tabs yet, but glue the matching pieces on B first. These are A20 through A24, as well as all the blank tabs in between. The tabs look different because they have cutouts for lights, so make sure you line up the edges as perfectly as you can. Now glue the two A8 tabs together to finally connect piece A to piece B. Look for any other matching tabs between the two pieces, such as A17, A18, and A19, and glue those together too. Continue on attaching the tabs until pieces A through G are all connected and the top section of your tree looks complete. It should look something like this. You'll see a hole at the very top of the tree. This is where your star tree topper will go. Now let's attach the middle pieces, H through M. Go in order and glue all of the matching tabs together on each piece before gluing any tabs to another piece, just like we did with the top tree pieces. Don't forget to check the alignment of the pieces from the outside to make sure the edges are flush and there's no extra glue leaking out. If there is, just quickly wipe it away before it dries. Here's what my middle pieces look like with the tabs attached. Now look for tabs with A numbers and attach those to their corresponding tabs on the tree's top section. For example, piece H has tabs A61 and A51 in close proximity. Find those tabs at the bottom of your assembled top section. You may need to fold loose tabs outward in order to see the numbers. It's easy to fold them back in place though. Glue the matching tabs together one pair at a time and make sure the glue is dry before moving on to other tabs. You'll start to notice the assembled pieces naturally falling into place as you glue more tabs together. For example, after gluing tabs A61 and A51, you can continue by gluing tabs A50 and A58 to the section right next to them. Continue attaching the middle pieces to the assembled tree until the only loose tabs are ones that will match up with bottom pieces. Your tree should look similar to mine at this point. Now it's starting to look more like a tree, isn't it? Grab your bottom pieces N through S to complete the bottom. Follow the same process as we did for the top and middle pieces, gluing all of the matching tabs together on each piece first. The bottom pieces have a few tabs that will be glued to a side section instead of another tab, such as C3. Make sure to glue those tabs on the back or inside of your tree pieces before gluing any tabs to another piece. When you're finished, your shaped bottom pieces will look like these. Then attach the B43 tabs to connect the bottom to the middle, followed by the B29 tabs. When you get to the very base of your tree, the pieces will fold inward at the trunk area. Go slowly and move tabs carefully to prevent any unwanted wrinkles or tears. It may be a little harder to see the numbers on the inside of the tree at this point. If you have any trouble getting your hand into the tree, you can use tweezers to hold the tabs in place as they dry. When you're finished, your assembled tree should look similar to mine. Step 6. Attach the base reinforcement and accent pieces. Your assembled tree is a little wobbly at the bottom, but don't worry. The base reinforcement pieces will help. Place piece T face down and add glue to the first diamond-shaped section on the left. Pick the front of your tree, and then with that side facing away from you, attach piece T to one of the diamond-shaped areas on the trunk. If you'd like a specific side of your tree to be at the back, start attaching there so the seams end up on the back. Add glue to the back of the small adjacent triangle shape on piece T and press it in place against the tree trunk. Continue gluing piece T's sections in place around the base of the tree until you reach the point where you started. The two ends should match up in this area without too much overlap or gap. Now you can glue the large triangle pieces at the bottom of piece T in place on the top sections of the tree's base. Your tree should be much sturdier now. Let's finish adding the rest of our base accent pieces. Find piece U, there should be 6 of them. Add glue to one of the back halves of one, including the triangle section at the top, and attach it to the base of the tree. Make sure the center fold is lined up at the corner of one of the 6 points. Then do the same with the other half of the piece, making sure that the triangle section at the top is glued down too. Do the same with the other 5 base pieces, making sure to position them so their edges are flush with each other at the corners without too much gap or overlap. Here's what my finished gold base looks like. Now we can add the branch accents. These are totally optional, but I think they really add something extra to the tree. There are 10 rows of branches on the assembled tree, ranging in size from the smallest at the top to the largest at the bottom. The accent pieces go on the 8 rows of branches in the middle of the tree, leaving the very top row and the very bottom row plain. First, find the 12 smallest accent pieces. Starting at the top on the second row, apply a little glue to the back of one. Align it so the straight edge is flush with the branch's side corner, and the wavy edge is pointed down toward the next row of branches. The accent pieces are sized perfectly for that specific area of the tree, so they should fit snugly into place. Keep going until all 12 are attached. Now on the third row of branches, do the same thing with the next largest accent pieces, the letter W's. Continue adding accent pieces in sets of 12 until you've completed the 9th row of branches. Remember, row 2 gets the V accents, row 3 gets the W accents, row 4 gets the X accents, row 5 gets the Y accents, row 6 gets the Z accents, row 7 gets the double A accents, row 8 gets the double B accents, and row 9 gets the double C accents. And this is what my tabletop Christmas tree looks like after adding all of the accent pieces. Look how pretty it is already. Step 7, insert the lights and the star topper. Now we can add my favorite part, the lights. If you're using the ceramic tree replacement bulbs, all you need to do is insert one bulb into each hole from the outside. Some of them may be a tight fit, so be gentle and place your other hand inside the tree to support the branch from the inside when pushing the light into the hole. When you're done, turn on your rechargeable LED puck light and position it underneath the tree. See how it lights up the bulbs from the inside? Isn't it pretty? LED string lights. If you're using the LED string lights from my materials list, put 3 AA batteries into the battery pack and make sure the lights work. Then, starting with the light furthest from the battery pack, carefully insert the string into the tree from the bottom. Place the first bulb into a hole at the very top of the tree, carefully poking it out just far enough that the light can be seen on the outside. Place the next bulb on a string in an adjacent hole. Continue poking the lights through the holes one at a time, making sure to keep the rest of the bulbs out of the way as you go. Try not to skip any lights on the string and make sure to insert each following light into a hole that is next to or below the light that you just placed. This will keep the lights from getting tangled up and weighing down the tree. When you're finished, you'll have quite a few lights left over. There are 54 holes in the tree and we have 100 bulbs. But that's okay, no worries. Just use a twist tie or a rubber band to neatly wrap the extra lights up into a small bundle. Then push them up into the center of the tree for an added glow from inside. Star topper. Once all of your bulbs are in place a star topper into the hole at the top. It might fit kind of loosely, so be careful if you move the tree. If you would like the star to be more permanent, you can apply a little glue around its base before inserting it. And we are finally finished. Ready to see it all lit up? Step 8, show it off. Just look at that. Isn't it amazing? I really love how the whole tree glows, not just the lights. I think I actually like this better than a ceramic tree. Place your cardstock tree on a table or a shelf this season and enjoy the beautiful work of art that you worked so hard to create.
What a beautiful collection of holiday decor we've made together today, from wreaths and garlands to glowing lanterns and embroidered napkins. Every project adds that extra touch of love to your home. Because I think the holidays are more than about decorations. They're about the warmth and creativity that we bring to the spaces and people we care most about. And making something by hand is one of the best ways to do that. It really shows that we care. I hope this Craft With Me Marathon has inspired you to make something new and decorate with joy this season. If you create any of these projects, I'd love to see them. Share your photos in my Facebook group at jennifermaker.com/CricutCrafters or tag me on social media so I can celebrate with you. Now, if you're doing Merry Maker Mingle with us, I have a bonus code for you for our Merry Maker Mingle giveaway. The bonus code is the thing that we see so many of sitting on my table here. It is Christmas tree. I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, plus 25 more Christmas trees. I don't even know, that's a lot. I'm not even gonna attempt the math right now. So the bonus word is Christmas tree, no space in between. Okay, that's your bonus word for and if you have no idea what I'm talking about here, you don't know what the Merry Maker Mingle is, go to merrymakermingle.com to find out. It's free to join and it's a lot of fun. And that's it for today. Until next time, this is Jennifer Maker reminding you to craft a life you love.